All right. Let's do this tonight. Stony Progressive. I got so much to do tonight. Like I said, I had the day off. If you guys caught me yesterday, I have the day off today, so I got a good stream coming up. A lot to get to. I want to jump right in. There was one subject I wanted to hit from two very different angles. And so, what I am going to do tonight is start the show with one and kind of almost at the end finish with another. And then, the very end of the show tonight, I'm going to do a Hassan Piker reaction video, which will probably get throttled on YouTube. So, you'll have to join me on Twitch. Streaming currently on Twitch and YouTube right now. So, let's do the dual stream. Let's get it started. We are going to start out with Jamal Thomas. And he has a little something to say, and I got my CBD joint with some wax all up on the top of it there. So that wax will just drizzle right into my CBD joint, and let's get our night chilled out.
Forum released a filing on
Oop, falling
February
down
the
foot.
11th. And in that filing, the filing is basically a, a document to get across a conflict of interest between Sussman and basically the people that the prosecutor is going after. However, in that particular documentation, in that potential conflict of interest related to the representation of former Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman, Durham released other information that has been basically considered to be somewhat of a bombshell. So lawyers for the Clinton campaign paid a technology company to infiltrate, and I'm putting that in quotes, servers belonging to Trump Tower and then the White House in order to create a link on this notion of Trump and Russia. And this is basically what Jarm Durham has put in his filings. And I'll just read this part. The indictment against Sussman, he says, told FBI counsel James Baker in September 2016, less than 2 months before the 2016 presidential election, that he was not doing this work for any client. Meaning, he told the FBI, meaning when they accumulated all of this information, basically had a tech executive that can infiltrate the servers for Trump Tower, but then also infiltrate the servers for the White House. Now, we're using the term infiltrate, but this wasn't hacking. This was a tech executive that already had access to the stuff through legal means, but decided to use this in order to basically pull information on Trump. There was this connection to Alpha Bank that didn't necessarily exist. And on top of that, this notion of Russian phones that were supposed to be this rare thing also given to the FBI with this idea of linking, quote unquote, Trump to Russia. Now, whether or not Clinton directed this, I would say most likely she did, but at the very least, we know her lawyers were clearly involved in doing this. Here's the thing. This looks a lot like Watergate, and it looks a lot like Watergate with the exception that the person is not the president of the United States. The person was basically trying to be president, and then when they lost the presidential election, continued to go further to get Trump removed from office, basically using his psyop, not just on the American public, but also on the intelligence systems of the government of the United States itself to do so. It's actually pretty startling. Right here. Durham's filing states that in July 2016, a tech executive worked with Sussman, a U.S. investigative firm, retained, or law firm one, on behalf of the Clinton campaign, numerous cyber researchers and employees at multiple internet companies to assemble a purported data and white papers. In connection with these efforts, Tech Executive One exploited the access to non-public and or proprietary internet data, the filing states. Tech Executive One also enlisted the assistance of researchers at a U.S.-based university who were receiving and analyzing large amounts of internet data in connection with the pending federal government cybersecurity research contract. Tech Executive One tasked these researchers to mine internet data to establish an interference and narrative tying then candidate Trump to Russia, Durham states. In doing so, Tech Executive One indicated that he was seeking to please certain VIPs, referring to individuals at Law Firm One and the Clinton campaign.
He is very direct and very, you know, precise with his talking. So it's a good one to smoke too. This is a nice dry way to start things.
Durham also writes that during Sussman trial, government will establish that among the Internet Data Tech Executive One and his associates exploited was the domain name system DNS internet traffic pertaining to 1. A particular healthcare provider, 2. Trump Tower, 3. Donald Trump's Central Park West apartment building.
There's a
Always with the commercials. Never can let me do anything.
Executive office of the President of the United States. And they were pulling this information with the hopes of either getting Trump indicted or embarrassing him, one or the other. Now, Donald Trump basically said he was being spied on, and Donald Trump was being spied on. More importantly to this, a lot of people would say, well, there's no way to know that Clinton was involved in this. I'm going to read to you from the book Shattered. This book was phenomenal. And people who keep acting as if Clinton wasn't intimately involved in this Trump and Russia stuff, I think you need to read the book. I just read this part. In other calls to advisors and political surrogates in the days after the election, Hillary Clinton declined to take responsibility for her own loss. Quote, she's not being particularly self-reflective, unquote, said one longtime ally who was on calls with her shortly after the election. Instead, Hillary kept pointing finger at Comey and Russia. Quote, she wants to make sure that all of these narratives get spun the right way, this person said. The strategy had been set within 24 hours of her concession speech. Mook and Podesta assembled her communications team at the Brooklyn headquarters to engineer the case that the election wasn't entirely on the up and up. For a couple of hours, with Shake Shack containers littering the room, they went over the script and they would pitch to the press and the public. Already, Russia hacking was at the centerpiece of this argument. In Brooklyn, her team coalesced around the idea that Russia hacking was the major unreported story of the campaign, overshadowed by the contents of the stolen emails in Hillary's own private server, Imbroglio. They all decided to hammer the media for focusing so intently on the investigation into her emails, which had created a cloud over her candidacy. Quote, the press botched the email story for 18 months, said one person who was in the room. Comey obviously screwed us, but the press created the story. Hillary Clinton wasn't in the room that day, but in private conversations with top aides in the immediate days following her loss, she struggled with the question of why Obama hadn't done more to apprise the public of the Russians that had gone way beyond what had been reported. Now, this gets into this notion that immediately after the election that Hillary Clinton basically lost, Trump and Russia figured prominently in her thoughts in regards to getting across to the press to explain how she lost the race. And what we're finding out with Durham is that it basically didn't stop at the end of the race. It kept going even for when Trump was in office. The question becomes, will there be other people that will be prosecuted? And that's an interesting question. I'm going to play this clip. This is DNI Ratcliffe. And Ratcliffe was basically being asked about these questions, and he was bringing this up himself when he was being asked on this on Fox News. And listen to what was said about Brennan, first of all, meaning Obama knew in advance that Hillary Clinton was going to do this. But on top of that, that there will be other people that will most likely be prosecuted for this that we haven't seen the final prosecutions. Let's play the clip.
What did John Brennan tell President Obama in the Oval Office in 2016?
Well, and I can talk about this because this part has been declassified. He briefed President Obama and Vice President Biden and other members of the national security team about this specific intelligence that John Durham now has about a Hillary Clinton plan to falsely accuse and vilify Donald Trump with a scandal, and the discussion around that, and whether or not it was good intelligence. And so everything that happened after that, Bill, is one of the reasons that John Durham is investigating. Bill Barr, John Durham, and I, all looking at this intelligence, agreed that there was not a proper predicate to open a criminal investigation into the Trump campaign, yet that happened. So those are the issues that John Durham is looking at. You know, and I think there'll be many more. I would expect there to be quite a few more indictments because of that. There was not a proper predicate to begin that investigation. Okay. John Durham has said that publicly already.
Now, you will probably not see that on CNN, and you will probably not hear that on MSNBC for obvious reasons. That means that for the last 4 years that Trump was in office, they were getting it wrong. They were giving you basically misinformation over and over and over again. Careers were basically made off of misinformation and that psyop that the Clinton campaign basically pushed in order to, A, win the election, which didn't happen, and to B, get Trump taken out of office, or at the very least set the precedent for him to be taken out with a dodgy impeachment. Again, something else that didn't happen, but not for lack of trying. Austin, what are your thoughts on this, man? I mean, they keep having this January 6th investigation. I think the investigation needs to start here also, if you're going to have it. And look, if Republicans take it, do you think Republicans will have a deep dive investigation into the origins around the Trump and Russia stuff? I mean, for a much energy that was put into that, we should at the very least know the origins of how that started and who was responsible for basically lying to the American public to such a degree.
Um, Aaron Monte's gone over it dozens of times, and nobody actually cares about the real origins of Russiagate because it's all bullshit and lies, and it's all ridiculous. And the fact you guys have listened to it for 3 years, and if you believe any of it, I apologize, but it's bullshit. So sorry, it's all speculation and bullshit. Get made to distract, and you are distracted if you still care. Russia is not our enemy. Just not a thing. But I wanted to do some new things today, and with the Tuesday day, I am. What happened today in history, guys? Today was the story of the USS Maine. Uh,
The battleship USS Maine steamed into Havana Harbor in late January 1898. While the United States government claimed the battleship was simply making a courtesy visit to Cuba, the ship had really come to protect American lives and property on the island. Cuban revolutionaries had struggled for decades against their Spanish rulers, who had controlled the island for nearly 400 years. In January of 1898, civilian riots left Havana, Cuba's capital, in turmoil and put American lives and investments at risk.
Investments, that's the
The
key.
appearance of one of America's premier battleships, bristling with 10-inch guns, helped reassure U.S. citizens in Havana. The Maine dropped anchor in the harbor, and its crew kept a watchful eye on the island. But 3 weeks later, on February the 15th, the Maine exploded in a gigantic fireball that echoed throughout Havana's streets. 266 men were killed as the Maine's 3 forward 6- and 10-inch ammunition storage magazines blew up. America turned suspicious eyes toward Spain. For years, Cuban exiles in America and others sympathetic to their cause had been calling for the United States to force the Spanish out of Cuba. Those calls were fueled by the press, which often presented Spain's leaders as evil or less than human.
So today was the op that created the Spanish-American War. That today was that day that set that in history, set that in motion. So the U.S. Maine explodes in Cuba's Havana Harbor. The explosion of unknown origins sink the battleship USS Maine in Cuba's harbor, like it said, exploding in 2 of the main hulls. So this has always been another one of those things: is was it a red flag? Was it not? It's really hard to say. Did Cuba actually do it to get us to go against Spain for them? But this was the beginning of the Spanish American War. Today was the day that helped create it, and the war actually began in April of that year. There was also another event today in history. Many events. This is a fun little site I'll be hitting on once in a while, especially on days of like this, where you have a lot of stuff going on. So today in history, 399 BC, philosopher Socrates is sentenced to death by the city of Athens for corrupting the minds of youth of the city and for impiety. That was today. That's what happened. You're not allowed to think outside the box, even back then. The last great Sassanian king is crowned king of Persia. Zen teacher Hao Shehu Despot, founder of Northern Chian Line. Bernardo was elected Pope Eugene III. Um, the Dutch coast was hit by a heavy storm. Russian troops occupy Potolsky, Lithuania. And Ferdinand III succeeded Ferdinand II as the Holy Roman Empire. So, some really fun stuff. But Socrates thing was pretty wild. Today that happened. So maybe that was their mark to blow up that. But let's get Jen in early in the show today. I haven't finished my joint yet, so it's only a CBD joint laced with that wonderful hemp oil. So let us, I don't know what that is. Let us get this going. Jen, into our Stony Progressive Takedown.
Um, creating a gas tax holiday takes legislation.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering,
Yeah.
what are other things that the president can do on his own to mitigate a gas price hike because of Ukrainian conflict? What else can he do by?
The conflict's not going to actually change our gas prices. We don't rely on that pipeline at all for anything. And blaming gas prices on any situation outside of the gas company's monopoly. I mean, gas companies, like every other CEO, the CEOs are still making massive amounts of money. We don't have to be pushed to this. Like, it's ugh.
Himself, and in terms of releasing oil from the SPR, have you made a determination of how much cost rise that would offset? In other words, what good does it do? Yeah.
Sure, that's a
What
good
does
question,
it do?
and those are assessments that our economic team is constantly, of course, making. We did see even the anticipation of the release back in December helped lower the price by about 10 cents, but those assessments are constantly being made. In terms of without a decision being made, which I know you're not asking, but just to be clear, there are steps the president has taken in the past, obviously tapping the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. He has also we have engaged with oil-producing countries around the world. That's something we will continue to do because clearly we need to ensure that the supply out in the global market is meeting the demand. And obviously, correct, yes, and that's been a part of our effort, even as we anticipate what impact there could be from an invasion. So, as you know, there's obviously a difference between natural gas shortages and the impact on home heating, which is largely a regional issue, but we have been
Right, it's largely a regional issue. Why are we talking like if Russia attacks part of the eastern part of Ukraine, that is going to affect our gas prices and our heating prices? That's literally what we're already talking about. Why are we talking about this already?
still in Europe, but we've been still working with partners on that as well, but also on the supply
Yeah.
of gas out in the market.
Yeah, dummy. Sorry, that was the only question I wanted to get to there. Let's go forward. Gas prices.
Need Congress to act in order to do that.
And when will the president make a decision on any new energy policies to impact prices at the pump? Because even without an invasion, prices have risen beyond where they were before the emergency reserve release back in November.
You're right, and the president is very focused on making sure we're doing everything we can to lower the
Price of gas, which is a capitalist issue, not a government issue. And the issue that, like so many things, they're abstracting wealth from us right now. It has nothing to do with shortages. It has nothing. They're just abstracting more wealth, and they're using this as an excuse right now, guys. That's ridiculous.
cost
Record profits. So many companies are making record profits.
for Americans in any way it hits them, whether it's prices at the pump or when you go buy a pound of meat or wherever it may be. So we're continuing to assess, and he's continuing to look at options. I don't have a prediction of any decision, though. Go ahead. I'll go to you after, Simon. Go ahead.
Switching topics entirely, the
Sure.
president is headed later this week to Ohio. He said that he'd like to be out in communities with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't care about her. 43. Picked a couple clips. I just wanted to do her quick today, not listen to this all day. All right. This last bit.
I've been reviewing that, but I don't have anything to read out for you on that front.
The other thing I wanted to ask you was about voting rights. The president signed this expansive executive order a year ago on voting. I believe Susan Rice put out an update on it in September or October. Could you provide an update on what agencies are doing? We're going to start beginning seeing elections as soon as next month. I believe that's in Texas, but other states are going to start to have them.
Yes, I do have a lot on this, not in front of me. So in terms of what agencies are working on or what they've been working on and what they've basically been doing, so you have more detail in this than maybe others do, but all of the agencies were tasked with putting together their own plans to expand voting access, and they've been working on those plans. They're all at different points in the review process. And how it will be implemented. But if you look at past examples where I think it was back in the 90s, where if you went to the DMV to renew your driver's license, they would offer you the opportunity to register to vote, stuff like that. But let me see if we can get you something and anyone else who's interested after the briefing. Okay, we'll do one more and then we'll wrap it up. Go ahead.
Thank you so
Oh,
much.
we're gonna watch this
China won in Afghanistan.
We have to watch the wrap up. I have to see if they let it finish to the point where she walked out because it was it was funny today.
First of all, China's foreign ministry has been really critical of U.S. rhetoric on the Russia-Ukraine crisis, calling it hyping up the possibility of warfare, saying the U.S. is clamoring for bloc confrontation. What does the White House make of this rhetoric? Are you going to take any action against it, either through talk or other means? And what do you make of this closeness between Moscow and Beijing?
Well, I would say that the meeting that they had a couple of weeks ago reflects an approach both countries have already taken for some time, which is to move closer together. We know, and we've said before, but China's not in a position to compensate Russia for their economic losses, and we have tools to deploy if we see foreign companies, including those in China, trying to backfill sanctions. I would say our overarching view, though, is that if Russia chooses to move forward, it will cost China and how it's viewed in the eyes of Europe and the world. And that's something for them to assess. We are trying to prevent a war here. That is why we are putting information out and why we are engaging with the global.
We are trying to prevent a war here. I know she didn't almost Freudian slip, but I heard it in my head because that's bullshit. They're absolutely trying to create a war right now. They want to distract from how bad they're doing. They want to distract from COVID. They want a war so bad. We're trying to detect. Oh, come on.
How do you respond to Afghans who are critical of the executive order that proposes to split the frozen Afghan money? They say that they weren't involved in the 9/11 attacks, so why are they getting less of these funds that they're entitled to?
Well, I would say that first, let me start with the fact that this is one step in the process. No funds can be transferred until the courts make a ruling. What the president was trying to do was enable certain U.S.-based assets belonging to Afghanistan's central bank to be used to benefit the Afghan people. Otherwise, it would have been held, right? And that money wouldn't have been going. And so that's why we saw it, and he took a proactive step to facilitate access to $3.5 billion of those assets for the benefit of the Afghan people and Afghanistan's future. More than, as you know, many U.S. victims of terrorism, including the relatives of victims who died in the September 11th terrorist attacks, have brought claims against the Taliban and are pursuing these assets in federal court. So more than $3.5 billion in assets are going to remain in the United States and are subject to the ongoing litigation. But what I think it's important for people to know and understand is he took this proactive step to sign the executive order in an effort to try to provide some of this funding to the Afghan people.
When will that happen?
The courts have to rule in order for it to happen.
$3.5 billion.
Right. The courts have to rule in order for any of the funding to move forward, I believe.
How's that proactive then?
He's making clear that he believes that half of the funding should go to the Afghan people for humanitarian purposes. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Jen. Will President Biden meet in person with the Russian president?
I think I answered that question a little bit earlier.
Oh, she does that so much. She's just like, I already answered that. It's all I'm giving you. It's all I'm giving you. Oh, sorry. That was great. I like the way she ended it today. I was chuckling for a few minutes. Maybe my reaction isn't so good right now, but it was funny to me. All right. This man was mentioned in a video I was watching with, I don't know, Sabby or I don't even remember what yesterday, but he was mentioned. I read it down, and now I want to go after it. So, Adam Kinzinger, a Republican from Illinois, the 16th district, Outside of Chicago, you think Illinois is all blue no matter who, and Chicago is a blue city, but guess what? He's on the outskirts and the rich southern rural area. Oh, no, yeah, just the rural area. It's not the rich. There's a little rich area down there, too, looking at the map here, guys. But yeah, no, so the rural area outside of Chicago is where he is the representative. Kind of all but the cities. Kind of a gerrymander there not to be in that city there. Don't want any cities that, are forward thinking. They want, only rural conservatives. If you know anybody in the area, his number is going to be 202-225. That's everybody in DC. And then his is 3635. And again, 202-225 to get a hold of your district, regional area, Senate or Congress. So Adam Kinzinger, Republican Party, U.S. House, Illinois 16th District. He has been there since 2013, and he will be running for re-election. Oop. So, let's see here. I don't go over voting records because it doesn't matter how they vote. It kind of does, but if he's your representative, please go ahead. It looks like it's a straight Republican region, so it doesn't look like a Democrat's going to take that anytime soon. He was not primaried, and probably, let me see here, yeah, hasn't had a heavy primary contention since he's been in. He is not that heavily owned, except for this excellent group is an energy company and one of the biggest in the area. And then, yeah, and it's also a dementia pill, but it's kind of like some ironic thing where it's an electric company and a dementia pill. But yeah, he has a lot of insurance companies and a lot of energy companies that contribute to him over his a little over a decade long worth. And with all that money, he's only worth $400,000, even though he's been in house for some decade plus. He's only worth $400,000. He has a rental house and a little bit of a mutual fund. That's all. So that always seems shaky to me. And as a Republican, it seems like he'd be more successful before he became a Republican state person. But he is very not cannabis in a state that Illinois is very pro-cannabis and is actually looking at taking very far steps towards its straight legalization and everything. And he's not for federal prohibition, ending it. I mean, that's ridiculous. Expanding cannabis convictions, allowing states to legalize adult use cannabis. He's okay with medical. He's okay with the VAs, so that's one of the first Republicans that's okay with the VA medical cannabis. So there's 1 point for him. Let's say a half dozen against. Like I said, he says he's not rich, but he gets pretty well fundraised in that straight Republican region that he has not been heavily primaried. So he's got that seat pretty well locked in. So his finances have got to be a little bit secretive. And he has a recent video, very recent actually. So I wanted to check this out. And again, I've never seen this person. I always try to save these as a natural reaction. And let's check out this Rep. Kinzinger, Chicago area Illinois representative Illinois representative anti-pot. He's okay with it for the VA, so 1 point for him, but he's semi-rich, and I think he's hiding his wealth.
We're back with Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, who is one of 2 Republican members on the committee investigating the January 6th insurrection. Good morning to you, Congressman.
Oh, yeah, that's why.
Good morning.
I want to start on what is happening most immediately between Russia and Ukraine. You have these massive Russian military exercises. How do you assess the Biden administration's handling of this situation so far?
Yeah, look, I'm on Team America, Team Ukraine. There are some nuances.
how is it assessing? I mean, he's obviously going to say they're not doing enough. Like you're asking a Republican to attack the president. It's kind of a boring question, right? I don't know. And yeah, he's coming straight up with a jackass answer.
As I would have done different than the Biden administration, but I think now is the time to stand unified. And what I'd say is they have done a good job, particularly in bringing out intel.
Stand unified with pro-war. That's what he just said. He was unified. Pro-war is not a partisan issue. He is all pro-war, and he will stand with Democrats if it means going to war with somebody. And he fucking just said that just so straight up.
Early to try to defang any Russian narrative that could come with Ukraine. We know about the discussion of a false flag attack. Well, now we've made it clear that Russia may do that. And so I think a lot of that is good. One thing I will add, though, is we have to shut down Nord Stream 2 regardless of what happens in Ukraine because Ukraine is using energy as a weapon. And I think that's important to do.
Russia is using energy as a weapon.
Oh, I didn't realize that was the clip. Oh, that's so fucking funny. He accidentally said it.
Shut down Nord Stream 2 regardless of what happens in Ukraine because Ukraine is using energy as a weapon. And I think that's important to do.
Ukraine, United States, and Russia are all
is using energy as a weapon.
Energy as a weapon. All of us.
That's what I mean.
That's what you mean.
Russia.
Yeah.
Jesus. Oh no, that's great.
Russia, generally, there had been for so long bipartisan support for standing up to Russia and standing up for democracies. But there is this interesting trend within the conservative.
That was obviously, I mean, if it's not obvious, that was somebody had clipped that and put that on there, and I had laughed my ass off at it. I was like, I gotta see this guy. And so, of course, I just, look his name up. I look for the most recent thing that I can play without getting my stream taken down. And this is off his own page. And his own page, he'd put the clip that people are making fun of him about. Oh,
movement right now.
That's
you
fantastic.
have more Trump-oriented parts of the party, like Senator Josh Hawley, who recently called on President Biden to rule out admitting Ukraine into NATO. You have similar sentiments elsewhere. What is happening here? I mean, how significant a portion of the Republican Party is moving in this direction?
Well, I don't think it's a huge portion, but it's way too big and it's growing, and it's a huge concern. I mean, what was this, 5 years ago? It might be like somebody like Rand Paul that would say something, or Dana Rohrabacher. Now, there's a significant number of folks doing it, with Tucker Carlson talking about, how great Vladimir Putin is and how Ukraine is really actually part of Russia. I think it's a couple things. Number one, it could be some naivety on foreign policy, not in Tucker's case. I think it's an affection for authoritarianism. And I think Vladimir Putin has done a decent job of engaging in culture battles, in culture war. And he is seen as the person defending, in essence, the culture of the past. And so it's very frightening. And by the way, Ukraine is next, sure. Already 1/3 of the country of Georgia is occupied by Russia. Nobody's going to stop them from going into the rest of that. Then you have the Baltics, you have the Balkans that they're interfering in. This is a frightening moment. And any Republican that has affection for Vladimir Putin has no understanding of what our party stands for or our country stands for.
When it comes to what your party stands for, you are on that January 6th committee, as we mentioned. Rudy Giuliani, the president's attorney, former attorney, is apparently speaking to the committee in some form. Is he being cooperative at this point? What can you tell us about that?
Well, what I can tell you is he's been subpoenaed. Our expectation is he is going to cooperate because that's the law. That's the requirement. Same as if somebody's subpoenaed to court. There may be some changes in dates and moments here as, lawyers do their back and forth. But we fully expect that in accordance with the law, we'll hear from Rudy. But look, regardless of when we hear from Rudy or how long that interview is, we're getting a lot of information. And we're looking forward to wrapping this up at some point when that is right.
That sounds like a good place for me to wrap up. I'm done with him. I am bored of him. He almost put me to sleep. And I'm wide awake. So, let's call that good, right? Yeah, I think we can call that good. That's done with that guy for the ever and ever. But that was a pretty funny clip. He actually put the clip that somebody was making fun of him on on his actual page. I pulled that video from his page because I don't pull. I try to pull clips from C-SPAN or from something that's public domain so I can show it without getting throttled because I don't have a big enough page to not get throttled constantly. And they he did me the favor of putting the freaking clip on the damn page. Thank you, man. Thank you. That was great. Good work, man. I gotta give you props. All right. So, I think we should do my headline. Might as well do it, right? My headline is yeah. So I'm gonna do a new segment, guys. Stony Progressive new segment. I think it's gonna take me a couple months to get through it all, 20 years at a time or so, and that's casualties of war, casualties in America, and civilians too. And what the American Empire. People call empire and regime. We use these words for other countries. Our American Empire has done some massive damage on the planet, and it's kind of scary and sad. So I'm going to set this up with a clip to start our day off, and then we'll get into the numbers and the boring details. But I wanted to set it up with a clip, and we will get this day funnily going. Hopefully, I don't know. It's a serious topic. All right, let's do this. Stony Progressive new segment. And I brought his stupid face back up. American War Machine. What we do, how we do it.
Holy smokes. Christopher Columbus, that is no way to address the King and Queen of Spain. What is wrong with you? Okay, so you know how we're looking for a new...
So, the first section here is just going to be the wars from our beginning to 1800. And to start out was the Revolutionary War. And this is I thought, a funny video, supposedly, on the Revolutionary War. I've never seen it. And it has like 40 million views. So maybe culturally you guys know it. For me, it's the first time. So I'm going to smoke my pen and watch this 15-minute clip that I've never seen. And then we'll go over the numbers. And I can't believe this thing has 40 million views. I've never seen it. So I'm kind of stoked. Pretty stoked, actually.
Trade route to India, right? Right. And the Earth is round, right? Right. So I'm thinking we can just sail the other way around the planet, right? Yeah. So I set...
Tonight's actual headlining story. My new segment, digging into America's casualties. So today, just to 1775 to 1799, Revolutionary War. So the American casualties, according to most sites, are going to put the American casualties at 25,000. That is civilians, that is disease, and combat. And then 43,633 for the total people killed in that war on our land. Now you got to remember, some of these British people were actually living here. They were just more British, like loyalists or whatever. Like, you can't. I mean, somebody was living on this land and they're a British loyalist. Aren't they still considered? No, they were considered British. So 43,633 died in the war. Now, during this time, another 130,000 people died of disease in the Americas, mostly smallpox. You can definitely push that those 8 years, the 130,000 people died from smallpox could have been from, constant battles up and down the coast. Could be. So we're going to go ahead and throw that number in there for us. That's the kind of thing I'm going to do. I'm not going to go lowball on this. We have killed a lot of people. A lot of people have died from our actions. So let's talk about it. Let's not ignore it. Everybody goes low on these numbers. Like, you look at them and there's so many numbers all across the board. The next war America had was the Cherokee and American Wars. And of course, this was us going against the Indians that had helped us in the Revolutionary War. During this time, we flipped on them. We right away flipped on them, and then I think we allied with the Hurons. There's a lot of treacherous things on our behalf with Native Americans, of course. So 2,000 people actually died in that conflict. Then there was the Northern Indian War, where 1,056 people died on our on our soil. There was a handful of rebellions here through the American opening 20 years. Shays Rebellion was the result of four people dying, so that was just a little conflict with our military. The Whiskey Rebellion was a bunch of settlers going against they're trying to get taxes or something like that. Just constant things from our government, and that rebellion had a stand up and standoff of 15 people. There was the Quasi War, which was a French-American war that had 514 people killed in 1798 to 1800. And then 1799, there was Fry's Rebellion, where two people were killed through our American military. So that was just the handful of conflicts that America has on the books right off the bat. Not all well-known names, and not that many. I mean, not every one of them was a lot of people. But when you think about the pre-America times, you also have to go ahead, and we're going to throw this number in for this segment. And today, you got to look at the number of Native Americans that were killed when we formed our country, and average estimates put it somewhere in the 50 to 60 million range. Before we landed on this continent, there was maybe somewhere in the 50 to 100 million Native Americans on this continent, and in the times up until 1800, it went down to 4.5 million. That's disease, that's war, that's famine, that is migrating away from us, that is us moving them, forcing them to move, them not procreating because we're constantly trapping them in horrible conditions. All those effects, we genocided a whole continent of people basically, and that's on us. So that puts our number pretty high for before 1800. We're well over. Like I said, if you're looking at 60 million, that's 60 million 50,000, and then the 130,000 from disease during the war years. That's a lot of people that our country started off underneath the world of war, and that's how many people died. Oh. All right, so short segment. Don't want to look at my face all that long, and I think that's plenty enough. Wanted to go to one-legger thing to start a rant, and go back to not back to them. This was a piece. This was USA Today, right? There's supposed to be some, I know they're a little bit lighter side of things, but they're still news, right? This is their segment on the Super Bowl. It's an ad meter live rating the best Super Bowl commercials. And this is
in New York. Let's give you a quick refresher on Ad Meter before we get into this year's show.
Yeah, explain to what the hell
was
you
started
are.
by USA Today back in 1989. It is the industry-leading tool to measure what the public thinks about the Super Bowl commercials.
Okay, they have this. They have a meter to measure what America populace thinks about the Super Bowl commercials. We are putting a massive amount of energy and money into figuring out, for news and ratings, what you think about Super Bowl commercials.
It works. You log on, you rate the spots from 1 to 10 over at admeter.usatoday.com, and then we tally the results. Over 1,700 commercials have been rated since Ad Meter's creation, including 64 for this year's Super Bowl. All right, as I mentioned, this is our second annual Ad Meter Live, so pretty pumped about that because now it's a tradition.
It's a tradition I would like to not happen again. That's ridiculous. Again, I hate the Super Bowl commercials. The reason I hate them is because that you're looking at companies who don't pay their employees a living wage while they're spending, a handful of million on the ad itself. What was it like? McDonald's had an ad campaign recently where they spent it was Domino's spent $100,000 giving to local businesses, but spent $50 million on advertising, telling everybody about it. There was McDonald's does it the same thing for the Ronald McDonald House. They spend like 40 times more on advertising about their good deeds than they actually do on their good deeds. There was one with the fire departments, like was it Verizon that gave to the fire departments, or somebody gave to the fire departments, and it was like a $500,000 or $1 million, but they advertised for like 25 to $40 million on that issue. So if you advertise 40 times more than you're giving, you. And the Super Bowls, what they do is they pay so much money on these advertising campaigns while their employees are not paid a living wage. And that's why I'm saying F you to this commercial. I say F you to those commercials. They give you heartwarming commercials like, we gave all this money. And it's like, do you tell me that you're spending 40 to 100 times sometimes, 20 to 30 times all the time more on the campaign?
And we have a huge show planned. We'll cover the highlights and lowlights of Sunday night's commercials. Plus, we're chatting with some of the stars you saw on your TV Sunday night. Jamie Lynn Sigler joins us shortly to chat Sopranos and her Chevrolet commercial.
Talking about her commercial and a show that happened forever ago.
And the great Serena Williams stops by later. But first, a guy...
So she can talk about 2 or 3 ad campaigns that she's in. Seriously, I'm sorry. I wanted to get that out there. Like, these ad campaigns are horrible for those reasons. They spend more on their ad campaigns than they do on charity. They spend more on celebrities and ad campaigns than they do on their employee benefits, than they do on their employee advances during this time of a pandemic. Subway is not giving their employees any extra benefits, but they're spending tons on Steph Curry and Serena Williams. This is bullshit. And yeah, anyhow, sorry. Not really, actually. No, not at all. Let's go over a protest of the day, week, last couple days. I got a good protest lineup here. This was from this weekend and I missed it, so I wanted to bring it back up.
Marched across the UK on Saturday to protest against the rising cost of living. These countrywide protests were organized and coordinated by a political pressure group called the People's Assembly and were supported by trade unions. Now, these demonstrations took place where at least 25 British towns, including the major cities, that's London, Manchester and Edinburgh.
Like, dang, like they're upset by the raise of cost of living. They're out there freaking protesting things that we like are basically like, yep, and then we just move on.
My wages hasn't gone up or anything like that, so I'm relying on my parents to get by.
The protests come after UK's inflation rose to 5.4% in December 2021. Besides this, the Bank of England has also warned that the consumer price inflation will hit 6% by April. Last year, the UK government also withdrew over $1,410 uplift in autumn, which affected at least 5.5 million people in the country. Now, despite the United Nations warning that this move could push millions into poverty, Prime Minister Boris Johnson defended his government's action. The chair of the People's Assembly in Manchester, Chris Neville, said that there is anger filled among people since this is an unprecedented situation for the working class.
What we're really seeing now is kind of unprecedented in terms of a perfect storm of effects on working people, massive inflation, getting told that our energy bills are going up by another 50%. They've already gone up last year. Wages have fallen in real terms for over a decade now since the Tories got into power. And we just want to be the start of a movement against that.
No, I gotta just, since so-and-so went into power, wages have been stagnant. That's partisan bullshit. The UK, France, Australia, all America, Canada, these are all Western powers, all run by corporations. So that part's corporate bullshit. That's just, that's partisan bullshit. They have it too. Let's check out another one. I got a handful of them lined up. Clashes between police and protesters erupt against COVID restrictions in Paris. Police fired tear gas at protesters to disperse the crowds. Way too loud. 7,000 officers have been mobilized for the weekend protests. Well, this looks really peaceful. Whew. Phew. Sorry, pens make me sneeze sometimes, guys. Phew. Shit, missed one. Convoy vehicles brought to the Hague Central to a standstill. So yeah, both in France and the Netherlands, they have anti-vid restrictions.
I understand that I carry my ancestors' work ethic, their dreams, hopes, and aspirations.
Oh, I did not want to listen to this.
Also,
wow, they're going to make me listen to this whole thing, huh? That's fantastic. Thanks, guys. Whew.
People responding to now really this shift in tone.
Hey, Morgan. Well, amidst this massive military buildup on three sides of the Ukrainian border today, the Kremlin announcing that it is withdrawing some of the troops, claiming that those military exercises are over, that it's rebasing some of the troops, though not specifying.
I'm sorry, I'm not even going to go with it. I just want to read the headline. Ukrainians could have been paid to participate in anti-American protests as a Russian disinformation continues. So this is something people always say if they want to discredit another way of thought. Like they just, I bet they're getting paid, and then you'll see like one. I mean, it's almost never the case, and I've literally tried to get paid to protest. I've literally tried and my girlfriend's tried. We've tried to do this. Like it's not a thing that's just that easy to do. You can't find somebody to actually pay you to protest. And maybe they, as people who respond to that, maybe they're like, oh yeah, see, people try to get paid, so therefore they're getting paid. But that's always something that media tries to spark and say. And if you think the Ukrainians are getting paid to protest, they're actually probably protesting us. That's just straight up what's happening. Let's also check out this one. I think I went over this one maybe already, but the anti-mandates is protesting in New Zealand as well. As well as the Netherlands and France I just showed. So these things are going on all over the world. I don't want to see that. Is this live right now? No, it's not live.
The exact number. The Ukrainian government responding skeptical.
What's this one? More from France.
A weekend of protesting amid some of the most famous landmarks in Paris. Having descended on the capital from all across France in cars, trucks and vans, they encountered a heavy police deployment. Nearly 100 were arrested and many hundreds of fines issued. Next stop, Lille. Around 300 vehicles arrived in convoy here, en route to Brussels. But they're not going to be welcome there. Officials have already banned a demonstration planned in the city on Monday. At a pit stop just south of the Belgian border, these protesters had a strong message.
I got involved in this movement for our most fundamental rights, human rights. Today they're violated by vaccine passes, by laws that are completely liberticidal, and we can't let that happen. It's not possible. The programme is to go see all the European institutions little by little, because this is happening at the European level. We can see more or less the same thing in all the countries. So there is this will to go forward. We don't know how far we will go, but we will go forward and we will make our voice heard.
Good for them. Good for the see. We need to follow suit, guys. We really do. We really general strike. We need. I mean, if it has to be for the day, the MN dates, I mean, whatever we need to do it for. I mean, freedom is freedom, and we need to. We need some change in America. So I think we need a general strike, and push all the issues. Just get one issue at a time. We'll, get more and more populous and get the main issue started, and as the main issue gets passed, we'll keep pushing every issue. That's what has to happen. One more ridiculous story. I didn't even look at it. I just kind of thought it was funny. The jury rejects Sarah Palin's libel case against the New York Times. Just today, just happened. Wanted to check this out before we listen to a little NPR. You got to look at my face.
A jury has ruled against former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin in her defamation lawsuit against the New York Times. The verdict comes one day after the judges said Palin failed to prove the Times acted with actual malice in regards to a 2017 editorial that incorrectly linked Palin to the 2011 shooting of Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. The Times corrected their error within 14 hours of publishing the article, but Palin sued the paper and the author for libel. The jury found there was insufficient evidence to prove the Times defamed Palin. She recently told Business Insider that she would consider asking the Supreme Court to reevaluate her case if she lost at trial.
Done. All right. Well, next I'm going to go to that. So let's leave it there while we listen to some NPR, I think. Wanted to do these segments. Can't actually show it or else it'll get taken down. So we're going to go to Spotify and play there. All right, guys, going unplugged. All right. Gonna do some NPR listening and ranting because these last few days I've been listening and ranting in my car. Now I get to share it with you. Try it out as a segment. If you hate it, let me know. Don't have to do it often. My producer thought it was pretty fun last time, so I thought I'd do it again. I'm pretty sure this is. So I'm just looking at these at Spotify. I listen to it all the time on the car. I've kind of stopped listening to music and just taken this in now, and I think these are the two segments that I freaked out on. I hope these are the best ones.
A key border crossing between the U.S. and Canada is open again. Canadian police removed protesters demanding an end to COVID-19 mandates. Will breaking up the convoy diffuse the anti-government movement or strengthen it?
I'm Layla Folden, that's Rachel Martin, and this is Up First from NPR News. The U.S. warns that Russia could invade Ukraine this week. The German chancellor is in Kyiv today in an attempt to diffuse tensions. One of NPR's reporters on the ground talked to people living at the Polish border. Are they preparing for a war in Eastern Europe?
And a 15-year-old Russian figure skating star who tested positive for a banned drug before the Winter Games began can finish the rest of her Olympic competition. NPR's Tom Gold.
We're going to only do the first story. The second one's just, this is the segment, and it's like straight more Russia propaganda. Like, who cares? Some kid tested. She probably takes nutrients and shit that she didn't know. It doesn't. They do this shit with Russia and China. You know what? Every freaking Olympic athlete has cross-tested at some point of something. It's. They only talk about it if it's Russia and China though, and there's a reason. It's just additional propaganda, anti-movements.
We'll explain it all. Stay with us. We've got the news you need to start your day. This message comes from NPR sponsor Capital One. Now you can get paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet? Terms of layer you'll want to take off. Shops
came to Moscow. It's the latest attempt by Western leaders to come up with some diplomatic solution that would prevent a widespread war in Eastern Europe.
NPR's Joanna Kakissis joins us now from Kyiv. Joanna, what do Ukrainians want to hear from the German chancellor today?
So Ukrainians want Western leaders, including Olaf Scholz, to show some moral support, to communicate something other than panic. I mean, this weekend, more than a dozen countries, including Germany and the U.S., told their citizens to get out of Ukraine immediately. Many embassies, including the American embassy, say they're planning to move at least some of their operations to Lviv in western Ukraine from Kyiv, from the capital. Ukraine's neighbor, Poland, has opened its border to Americans heading west.
So explain that. I mean, I guess it makes sense because it's driving distance to a NATO allied country.
More than 6 countries are willing to move their people out of there. Really? This is such a Western war. It's America that wants to go to war, not Russia. I mean, maybe Russia too. Maybe it's the two of them. I mean, we do both sell weapons. We both kind of really need a war to happen to get rid of some weapons so our companies can make some profits. We're the two biggest weapon producing countries on the planet. Like,
right, the west near Poland. Yeah, that's right. Lviv is in the far west of Ukraine, and the Polish border is less than a 2-hour drive away. So it's very easy to get to NATO and European Union territory. I just spent a couple of days reporting in Lviv. It's this beautiful, lively city with cobblestone streets and cafes everywhere, and kids were playing in the squares. And the Ukrainians I spoke to there are really disappointed that so many Western countries are telling their citizens to flee.
they're annoyed, and that's why they're having protests right now. I didn't want to watch the whole video. They're annoyed because Western countries keep coming and saying, you guys are about to go to war, and they're like, no, we're not. Why do you guys keep wanting to push war? And that's what a lot of their feelings are, is that we are pushing war. Like, I feel, and from what I've seen. I mean, my interpretation of media, because my bullshit meter goes way up whenever media jumps to war. And I've been watching this since the first question. That's literally my first White House takedown, my first White House review of Jen Psaki. The very first day I did it, it was the day that the very first question about Ukraine came up. And so I've been watching this now for 5-6 weeks. The snowball.
Historian and tour guide I met there, her name is Ivanka Honak. She says that this panic is just making Ukrainians feel very alone.
I'm a mother of 3 children, and I'm a bit desperate because I don't know if Ukraine should rely on the help of international community. Each family that I know, they have their emergency backpacks. They feel they might need to run any moment.
And most Ukrainians, they don't want to run. Remember, they've lived with Russia as an aggressive neighbor for many years. The Ukrainians I spoke to, they joke that the only locals actually running away right now are the oligarchs who flew out on their private planes.
So, German Chancellor Scholz is going to meet with the Ukrainian President Zelensky. Is that going to be tense, Joanna? Because many Ukrainians have not really been pleased with how Germany has handled this crisis.
Yeah, that's right, Rachel. The Ukrainians have not been pleased at all. They want a much more forceful support from Germany, and
that's that's not the 100%. It sounds like it's more regional of what people think about the Germans' reaction, but that's I feel like that's a isolate, or as I always say, bubble. Maybe the area that she's talked to, but that's not a nationwide thing from some Ukrainian people that I follow.
The German chancellor will probably be feeling some of that tension. He's expected to speak with Zelensky about how to stabilize the Ukrainian economy. And, international fears have really taken a toll on Ukraine's currency, and international airlines are suspending flights to Ukraine, in part because the insurance rates are fluctuating so wildly. German media have also reported that Scholz also plans to hit this economic theme with Russia tomorrow in an attempt to get them to back off Ukraine. The chancellor could say, look, invading Ukraine is going to crush the Russian economy. And this is pretty tricky territory for Olaf Scholz because Germany has a business relationship with Russia. The big item is the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline. So Scholz has been cautious.
Okay, that's my trigger word.
Every time they always have to mention that damn pipeline. They're so against the pipeline, they're willing to go to a world war for it. Like, that's the trigger word right there. When I hear that, I'm done. There was another one anyway, but seriously, like every time I hear that word, I'm like, okay, yep, they're going to something, and then they did it. They went right to it every freaking time. That's just hilarious to me, guys. It's really something else what they do. And yeah, they did it. What is the Here's the other one.
Jennifer Erickson moved to Harlem in New York City about 2 weeks ago. And when she recently ventured out to the playground with her 2 young kids, ages 2 and 5, they all wore masks.
We feel more confident with the numbers being down as far as infection rate, but still enough to want to wear masks.
Erickson was one of several New Yorkers who spoke with NPR national correspondent Hansi Lo Wang about a recent change in New York's public health policy. The state officially lifted its indoor mask mandate for businesses last Thursday.
I personally think it's a little premature.
Erickson said she'll be more confident once her youngest can get vaccinated. But even still, she hasn't really minded masking up.
You know, we hadn't been sick in 2 years, so I think I might just continue to wear a mask.
I say everybody go by their own judgment. If you feel like you need to protect yourself when entering these stores.
Now, James Brown said
that's pretty fucking fair. I like that. That's pretty fucking fair.
The state lifting the mask mandate for inside stores and other businesses makes sense to him. He has only ever worn a mask when actually required to do so.
People want to feel comfortable while they're shopping. Not everyone has made the mask part of their everyday plan. You will want to have a little bit of freedom, especially for America.
But this newfound freedom hasn't been clearly communicated to everyone.
The New York governor, you said that? Wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Sora Khan says he's still seeing a lot of people masked up while shopping, which is technically in line with the CDC's standing guidance. And New York is still requiring masks for public transit, for schools and hospitals. Khan said it's hard to keep up with all the different policies and messaging.
A lot of people are just very confused because they politicize this so bad, and people really don't know what to do, and they're starting to just not care anymore. They're starting not to believe.
That is the biggest thing. Like, science and common sense and knowledge is just completely out, and it's all about just emotion and picking a side. And there's so many times that you just pick a side. Like, it's been more than frustrating and for too long, and it's just stop picking sides, start listening, start considering.
Consider this. Nothing is easy about living through a constantly changing pandemic. But what has made it even harder and even more stressful is keeping up with the ever-evolving public health messaging.
I call it the learning curve. There's a constant learning curve on this. Information is going to evolve, and we need to evolve, and we need to, first of all, open source this fucking information. The fact that we're not is crazy, but we need to evolve and learn with things that are happening. Like, I took the vaccine because I thought this was going to be just done when I got it, and now I've had it twice since I got it. Yes, I've had it twice since I got the shot. So that's just kind of the stuff that happens. Like, that's what we have to learn and we have to live with. We have to learn and live, and then move on. We learn. It's not picking a side. It's not picking a team. You don't shut off information after year one. You don't hear something at year one and go, that's fact from now on. You can learn after that. Science keeps evolving and keeps changing because we keep learning more. Microchips are much smaller than they used to be, and there didn't used to be microchips. So things evolve, things change, okay? So learn with the rest of us.
From NPR, I'm Elsa Chen. It's Tuesday, February 15th, with Yogi T. This message comes from the Last week, the CDC reiterated that it is not changing its mask guidance.
Our hospitalizations are still high. Our death rates are still high. So as we are encouraged by the current trends, we are not there yet.
CDC Director Rochelle Walensky acknowledged that while the decision on mask mandates should be made on a state or local level, the CDC's guidance won't change until case numbers are lower. But the thing is, that guidance on masking has not been all that crystal clear. Like, mask up if you're living in an area with high COVID transmission. Well, that's still pretty much most of the US right now. Or also pay attention to vaccination rates, local hospital capacity, and at-risk populations.
It's too many things, and they haven't told us how to weight those things.
Cynthia Bauer is a professor at the University of Maryland who specializes in health literacy and communication.
If there's 5 things, do I weight each thing 1/5 or 20%, right?
And there's another reality going on here. Throughout the pandemic, we have seen the states that would benefit most from strict mandates, like where the vaccination rates are the lowest, those are often the states that are the least willing to require masks. Dr. Jennifer Nuzzo is an epidemiologist with the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security.
From a national level, it seems like, in many places that decision has already been done, and it's sort of like life has gone on.
One consistency over the last couple years has been the divide along political lines for how to approach the pandemic in the US. But even that is beginning to shift a little bit, with several blue states also rolling back mask requirements against the guidance of the CDC and White House. My colleague Adrian Florido spoke with NPR national political correspondent Mara Liasson about how the messaging around COVID-19 restrictions has been changing and how they're not as split along partisan lines as they once were.
So a lot of Democratic states now appear ready to move on from masking restrictions, but the CDC says, according to the data, it's still too soon. Here's CDC Director Rochelle Walensky.
I know there will come a time when we move from a phase of crisis to a point where COVID-19 is not disrupting our daily lives. And as we all look forward to this next step, I want to instill in everyone that moving forward from this pandemic will be a process that's led by our surveillance and our data.
Mara, we're used to a divide between Republicans and Democrats on the pandemic, but usually it's the Democrats enforcing public health measures more stringently. So what's changed?
Well, I think there is a divide. You've got the White House and the CDC on one side, and then you've got Democratic governors on the other. Really, the president has two competing imperatives here. Remember, he campaigned on listening to the scientists. And so far, the science, the federal science, that's the CDC, is not ready to move, and the president can't throw the CDC at.
He campaigned on it, but he doesn't listen to anybody. He's just, the president right now is like I'm sure he has like a handful of people that he trusts that just regurgitate everything for him, because he is not taking in tons of information and putting things together right now. That guy is not doing that. I'm sorry if you like him or not or whatever. He's not taking in massive amounts of information and turning it into his day to day. He is trusting a handful of people to do it. So that's just oh, is that a good place to leave it there? Should we go on to Jimmy? That was just funny. All right, let's go on to Jimmy, because yeah, NPR sucks, and I think I'm going to trash it once a week. I'll take some of the better clips maybe. I just that was my Sunday, Monday, I think, listening to them on the way to work those couple days, and sitting in my car smoking a bowl and cracking my head against the wall before I go into the fast food place or something. I don't know. It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That was NPR, and I apologize for it. Not really, though, because we all need to take it on other opinions, right? Let's check out some Jimmy. Again, the issue I started the day with, we are going to finish, and then I'm going to finish the show with a Hassan Piker review. My first time ever trying to watch a long clip of his. And if I hear right, YouTube will probably throttle me, so I might end that stream and only finish on Twitch. But I'll at least start it. And this one, maybe they'll even throttle me and I'll have to switch over to just Twitch. So if they cut my stream on YouTube, guys, I'll be going over to Twitch, same Stony Progressive. But let's get it started here on YouTube and see what happens. Always fun to just see what happens. hold on. I gotta go back on.
What? Huh? Hang on. Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign paid an internet company to infiltrate servers at Trump Tower and the White House in order to link Donald Trump to Russia, a bombshell new legal filing alleges. The Friday filing from the Department of Justice, that's Merrick Garland's Department of Justice, that's Joe Biden's Department of Justice. They tasked with investigating the origins of the FBI's Russia probe, served to throw cold water on Democrats' longstanding allegations of collusion, which means conspiracy. Special counsel John Durham filed a
Oh, yeah. That's solid. I mean, it's true.
motion related to potential conflicts of interest in connection with the case of Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman, who is charged with lying to the feds, according to Fox News. Now, we already covered this story here once. I'll explain it to you. So this guy, Michael Sussman, he goes to the FBI being paid to do this by Hillary Clinton.
Absolutely paid. That's not debatable. It was something that he admitted to.
And he tells the FBI a fake story, that he has documentation and evidence that Alpha Bank, which is a Russian bank, and Donald Trump's campaign are conspiring together to do nefarious stuff. That's a totally bogus thing that was made up. He was asked if he was working at the behest of Hillary Clinton. When he did that, plant that false story at the FBI, he said he was not being paid by her. Later, we found out he billed her for his trip to the FBI where he planted that story. Okay? So that's Hillary Clinton's lawyer did that. Planted a fake Russiagate story with the FBI, which is why he is now charged with the crime of lying to the feds. That came out of this Durham investigation. So he's investigating the Russiagate investigation, and he's finding out all the lies inside the Russiagate investigation. Okay. Now, we already know that people lied to the FISA court during the Russiagate investigation, and they got caught. Sussman allegedly told the FBI he was not working on behalf of the Clinton when he presented his evidence. Durham.
I gotta start reading like that once in a while. All right. I'm just done. Like, especially when I'm reading some of these people's freaking their messages. Like, I just gotta read the really good message and then just go. And again, they're going to just kiss. And again, they're just going to kiss. And again, they're just going to kiss their ass. So, yeah.
Durham's motion reportedly alleged Sussman had assembled and conveyed the allegations to the FBI on behalf of at least two specific clients, including a technology executive, So they're referred to as Tech Executive One. Do you know who that is, Aaron?
Yeah, his name is Rodney Jaffe. He was planning on becoming Hillary Clinton's cybersecurity.
Yay, Aaron Mate. And he knows so much on the Russia Gate bullshit. It's just fantastic. Also why I talked about that earlier about Aaron Mate and yeah. Yep, coming back to it.
The presidency.
Bringing it full circle. It's called a comeback.
2016.
And so that's who they're referring to. And so as Tech Executive One.
Yeah.
So Sussman was acting on behalf of Tech Executive One at a U.S.-based internet company, which is and the Clinton campaign. So he's doing the bidding of all these people, and this guy, Tech Executive One, wanted to get a spot in Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Exactly right.
in her cabinet or administration. Records show he repeatedly billed the Clinton campaign for his work with the Russia bank allegations, which involved an investigation firm, a tech executive. In 2017, Sussman provided an updated set of allegations about then-President Trump's Russian connection to another government agency, the motion said.
And that agency, Jimmy, is the CIA.
Oh, we love their name here. That's so fantastic. That's so fantastic. Thank you so much for that.
Sussman provided an updated set of allegations about President Trump to the CIA. So he went to the FBI and the CIA pushing bogus Russiagate information. Among the accusations leveled at the time was that suspicious Department of National Security lookups by Russian-affiliated IP addresses demonstrated Trump and or his associates were using supposedly rare Russian-made wireless phones in the vicinity of the White House and other locations. Now, so what this alleges, could you explain that? Who
Yeah,
looked
so
at
DNS, Jimmy, I love the acronym you just made up out of a whole class, but that's not what DNS means.
That's not what it means?
No, it means domain something. I don't know, whatever.
So,
It doesn't matter.
scratch that. I made up DNS.
You made it up,
but it was good, though.
sense.
Department of
Just making up on the spot letters, like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. These guys make up shit all the time. Why can't they? Oh, thank you, Jimmy. This is a good This is a good, informative, and funny
That
clip.
was good. No one else would have known if you didn't say anything. Thanks for fucking blowing it for me. But go ahead.
So basically, this guy Jaffe had a contract with the government, and to do some cyber stuff, and he used that contract to basically get access to data, including coming from the White House, that he could then use to make a case that there was some kind of Trump-Russia connection. And one of the things he alleged was that Russian-made wireless phones were being used in the vicinity of the White House. So I guess what he was trying to suggest there is that the Trump team was using Russian-made phones to communicate as part of their secret plot that they not only did on the campaign, but brought into the administration. I mean, Durham doesn't explain what they were going for there, but that's what I'm drawing from.
Yes,
from
that's
that.
exactly it. But
yeah,
what the important thing is that this guy used he was a contractor for the federal government, so he had access to look this stuff up inside the White House. So he's literally spying, using his access to spy on data to try to concoct some bullshit case about Trump and Russia and then present it to the CIA and the FBI. And so he was using his actual government insider connection to get this info on Trump and then present it as if it's proof of a conspiracy. And
That's what it looks like.
and so when Trump said,
Yeah, it's setting up a narrative with the facts. So this is not a given. This is not exact. This is speculation based on the information given.
they were spying on him, he was 100% correct. They were spying on him.
That was true.
And he was mocked for saying that. And the FBI has tried to say, oh, no, we weren't spying on the campaign. We just were targeting a few individuals, which happen to include every single person on the campaign.
Every single person.
Yeah. So it's, and this is new evidence of that. Now, we haven't seen all the underlying evidence that Durham has, so, I have to reserve final judgment until I see it. But this is what he contends here in this motion. It's a very serious allegation to make. And guess what, Jimmy? No one who, remember when Robert Mueller, if he had a new tie, that would be front page news.
Yes.
Or if they found some innocuous email that meant nothing, that would be front. But, try to find this being covered right now on MSNBC or in the New York Times. It's not happening.
This is not being covered.
No.
The allegations relied in part on the purported DNS traffic. Now, we know DNS does not stand for Department of National Security. That tech executive one and others had assembled pertaining to Trump Tower, Donald Trump's New York apartment building, the EOP. What's the EOP?
I wonder if
Equal
that means
opportunity for people? I don't know what that means.
It should mean that. Maybe it means the executive office. Something. I don't know.
And the aforementioned healthcare provider. So there you go. Durham said his office found no support for these allegations, claiming the supposed evidence Sussman provided was incomplete and skewed or made up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Trump said he was vindicated by Durham's filing in a Saturday evening statement, adding there was a time that Sussman's alleged crime would have been punishable by death.
I shouldn't laugh at that, but that sounds like Trump.
Funny. It is Trump. God damn it, Trump. Huh? The document provides indisputable evidence that my campaign and presidency were spied on by operatives paid by the Hillary Clinton campaign in an effort to develop a completely fabricated connection to Russia. Well, that seems to be 100% true. From the evidence.
Yeah.
Kash Patel, who was chief investigator of the House's probe into Trump's alleged Russian ties, said in a statement that Durham's filings was definitive evidence that Clinton's campaign orchestrated a criminal enterprise to fabricate a connection between President Trump and Russia. Now, Kash Patel, who is he, a lawyer that worked for the House, or is he a congressman?
He is a lawyer by training. He used to work for the Obama DOJ, and then he went to work for the Republican House Intelligence Committee. And he's the one who basically discovered that the Clinton campaign paid for the Steele dossier.
Oh, no.
He went after, because remember, the Clinton campaign was denying that for over a year. And the reason they admitted it is because Kash Patel and his committee subpoenaed financial records that would have forced them to admit it. And that's when they came out, in late 2017 and admitted it. So Kash Patel, and I've interviewed him now a couple of times on Pushback, and he discovered a lot of really serious stuff, and that's why the U.S. media hates him. If you read media coverage of him, it's like he sounds like he's treated just with such contempt, but they hate him because he found stuff.
Yes.
He uncovered a lot of criminality. So, and he's right there. There was I think a criminal effort to fabricate a tie between Trump and Russia.
And I was going to let him, you could go ahead and change the way you spell your name from a K to a C. No one's going to be upset, but it'll make you look a lot cooler. That's just what I would switch it from a K to a C. You're Kash Patel. I'm fucking money, baby. You're money. Former FBI lawyer Kevin Kleinsmith was the first person charged with making a false statement in connection with the Durham investigation. He pleaded guilty in 2020 to falsifying a document used by the FBI. So that's when he lied to the FISA court. They lied on a document, and so they could get that FISA, which means that they can then tap everybody's phone inside the Donald Trump campaign. That's what that meant.
Exactly. Kleinsmith basically hid from the FISA court that Carter Page, who the FBI was trying to spy on, that he was an operational contact for the CIA.
He hid that this guy was working for the CIA. He hid that from the court.
Yeah.
He hid that because if they had found that out, they probably wouldn't give the Pfizer. They would go, what? He's your informant. So, and here's what Trump has to say about it.
The biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign.
There's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is. It's all over the place. Leslie, they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Donald Trump and William Barr promised that Durham would expose huge corruption, but he hasn't done that.
Is apparently an ongoing, concerted Republican and pro-Trump project to try to turn the investigation of the Russia scandal into some kind of scandal itself.
Oh, no. Okay, wait till the Durham report comes out. And then nothing happens, and they just move on to the next conspiracy theory. It is never going to end. And guess what? People who want to believe that BS are going to believe it.
So that's what the mainstream news media.
That's fair. People who want to believe any BS will believe it. The problem is sometimes the BS is something that you guys have been, you guys being mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, it's ABC, CBS, you guys seem to push the story even when it's unfounded, even when your only source is anonymous, even when your only source is not even boots on the ground. You guys push stories, and then if it's according to the U.S., you just take it blindly. You guys don't even do journalism. You don't even speculate. You don't question. You don't push back at all. Sorry.
Is saying about the Durham report, and what we're saying about the Durham report is they are uncovering the lies that got this Russiagate conspiracy theory started. And where did it come from? It came from the Clinton campaign. That's where it came from. This was all from the Clinton campaign. It was all concocted from Hillary Clinton and John Podesta. Okay.
Jimmy, that statement from Don Lemon is the most hypocritical thing I think I've ever heard. First of all, it's fallacious because he's mocking people who are saying, "Oh, just wait for the Durham report to come out."
It hasn't come out yet.
Hasn't come out yet. Hasn't come out yet. So what's he talking about? It's like about what he's saying is exactly what the Russiagate line was. Like, oh, don't worry, Mueller's going to find the conspiracy. Just wait. He's going to indict someone soon for for collusion, and that never happened. But just wait till the report comes out. Then we're going to find out. And the report came out. Oh no, just wait till we get the redactions because it got redacted. I mean, he's projecting in a way I've never seen someone project before. He's describing himself and every single other Russiagate.
That's how they handled Russiagate. We would say, how about some evidence? Oh, wait. Hey, wait till the Mueller report. Then Mueller report. They did. When he was saying that, I'm like, wow, that everybody who was a Russiagator is doing unbelievable projection. From Cenk Uygur to Rachel Maddow to now Don Lemon. They are, or to certainly Keith Olbermann. They are the things they claim to hate. And here's what Glenn Greenwald says about it. He says the New York Times, CNN, and NBC Access flooded the zone every time Robert Mueller scratched his nose. They spent hours and hours deciphering his every sneeze. Actual criminal indictments from Durham of Hillary's lawyer or FBI operatives, crimes that created Russiagate, barely merit an article. So the concocting of this conspiracy that we're now peeling the onion away and finding the truth of how this got started, no one's talking about it. And the only time they do talk about it is to completely dismiss it as nothing. Isn't that interesting?
Right.
Among the reason the media might want to cover the developments in John Durham's criminal probe of the fraudulent Alpha Bank story and the crimes committed to spread it, the Clinton 2016 official at the heart of it is now Joe Biden's national security advisor in charge of Ukraine, Jake Sullivan, sorry. So there it is. God bless America. And here's another guy. Here's Eric Bollard, who's a paid propagandist liar. He says the fact that Garland, meaning Merrick Garland, who's the head of the Justice Department, allows idiotic Durham investigation to continue and fails to prosecute Trump really says it all. What does it say, Eric? Are you saying that now Joe Biden and Merrick Garland are working for Russia? What are you saying? Because that's what it sounds. What does it say? You say it says it all. It says it all what? That they're working for Russia too? What are you saying it says? He doesn't know what it says because David Brock hasn't told him what to say yet. But David Brock will send him an email with a check, and then Eric Boiler will know what to say. What a fucking moron. Could you believe? Hey, look at he got 5,000. So these are people who just want Trump prosecuted, and now they're turning on Merrick Garland and Joe Biden over it. The evidence is the other way. This guy's everything he claims to hate. He is worse than Sean Hannity.
Jimmy, again, going back to projection, what was one of the main liberal causes of the Trump era? It was protect the Mueller investigation. Barr was going to shut down the Mueller investigation. Right. We had to prevent that. Rachel Maddow was saying this is a 5-alarm fire moment.
That's right.
Remember after the midterms when Trump fired Jeff Beauregard Sessions?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Move on. All these liberal groups organized protests to save Jeff Sessions' job. And that's because they felt as if the Mueller investigation was going to be shut down. Now these same people cheer for Garland to shut down the investigation into what is now everyone knows was a scam. No one serious believes anymore there was Trump-Russia collusion, except the most devout Blue Anon members. And now there's an effort to have some accountability for that and all the major consequences it caused, not just to, in the U.S., but to geopolitics, increased tensions with Russia, pushing this into the very moment we're in right now, where remember after Mueller failed, immediately Democrats pivoted to Ukraine Gate, impeaching Trump after he froze some weapons to Ukraine. And the whole premise of the Democrats' message was we have to arm Ukraine so we can fight Russia over there and not over here. So basically, deeply entrenching inside the liberal mind this idea that it's good to ramp up tensions with Russia and to arm neo-Nazis in Ukraine, which leads us right to this current moment right now. And the gift these people are giving, by the way, to the right in refusing to admit that they pushed a scam and continuing to double down on covering up for it. It's such a gift. If I was a Republican strategist, I'd be overjoyed at what these people are doing and how they're mocking people who are interested in finding out what actually happened. It's such a gift to the right wing.
It is a gift. Just like when you call truckers and farmers protesting mandated experimental gene therapies, we call them white racist Trumpers, even though they live in another country. They're Trumpers somehow.
Yeah, that's another thing. We've been saying any right-wing person is now a Trumper. There's some psychology going on here that I don't really get, but yeah, it's getting kind of scary, guys. Like the way they're trying to detach us, the way they're trying to evoke emotions, it's all getting personal. It's not intellectual at all. We can't talk about politics without evoking emotion for some reason. We got to be able to.
That's yeah. Wait, are they going to start calling Jon Stewart a white racist pretty soon? He stood up for Joe Rogan, so that's coming. That's coming.
There's one more update on.
Maybe Jon Stewart's an anti-Semite too, because he's okay with Palestine having a right to live. That's what the kind of thing they say. If you think Palestine has a right to live, you're anti-Semite. Anti-Semite.
This Russiagate thing, because it's tied in. Basically, one of the biggest aspects of the Clinton campaign's operation was this firm CrowdStrike.
Yes.
That's the private firm that kicked off the entire thing by publicly accusing Russia of hacking the DNC.
And now,
as I reported,
why? Let me just explain to people the reason why CrowdStrike was given a platform to talk about this, because they were the cybersecurity firm hired by the Democratic National Committee to look at their server to see who got those emails, and it turned out they said it was Russia, right? Isn't that? And it turns out it wasn't Russia. Bill Binney proved that it was a local download. It wasn't hacked by anybody, and the Democratic National Committee.
Because the speed was too fast, and there was no way that would have gone over international internet of any sort, let alone any sort of internet. Period. He said it had to be a direct line to be that fast, so it had to be a leak because somebody had to actually give it away.
Gave their server to the FBI, even though the FBI requested it. They said, no, we got our private company called CrowdStrike, and they've got it. They figured it out. And so go ahead.
And so CrowdStrike made this allegation against Russia, just as the Clinton campaign was also paying Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele to come up with this fake Trump-Russia collusion claim. So you have two Clinton campaign contractors being behind the two allegations at the heart of Russiagate. Trump-Russia collusion that comes from Fusion GPS and Christopher Steele, and the Russia DNC hack that comes from.
No, for the comments, it's like the people they call anti-Semitic is insane. Like they've called Bernie it. I know they've hinted at other people who are actually Jewish. They call them anti-Semitic if they're for Palestinians having rights to live and exist. it's crazy, and that's one of the first things they attack. And AIPAC and the pro-Israel PAC are two of the biggest PACs on the freaking continent. And on this continent, they control our government so much, and they especially control Democrats. So if you push the Democrats from the left saying, hey, we need to be better, we need to not fund Israel with weapons and massive amounts of money, we need to not do this, you're all automatically, the first thing they're called, they don't look at Israel as a government that takes weapons and kills people. They look at Israel as a religion. There's other people in Israel that's not just Jewish. Like saying Israel is, you need to do something about their government isn't being anti-Semitic. It's saying something about their government. I'm not saying, I think America is a great place. We have amazing potential, but I don't trust our government. And you probably shouldn't you shouldn't trust any government. You should always question things.
CrowdStrike. And as you say, the FBI never independently examined the DNC servers, and they relied on CrowdStrike's reports. Now, the update that I have to give, and there's a tie-in to Michael Sussman here, this indicted Clinton campaign lawyer who pushed the Alpha Bank scam, because CrowdStrike was hired by Michael Sussman, who oversaw their operations. And Michael Sussman, immediately after CrowdStrike went public by accusing Russia, he immediately started lobbying the FBI to endorse CrowdStrike's claims. And the FBI at the time was like, well, we haven't looked at the server, and we don't even have your reports that, on your investigation of the server. Anyway, and later on, by the way, a year or two later, CrowdStrike admitted under oath they had no evidence that Russia actually hacked the DNC. And we've talked about. But anyway, the news I have is that so what we know from the public record is that CrowdStrike submitted at least 3 reports to the FBI, and the FBI used these reports for its investigation of the DNC hack. And these reports were redacted by CrowdStrike, including with Sussman's input. And so I've tried to FOIA these reports, get a Freedom of Information Act request to have them, because this is not national classified intelligence information. This is a private company's report. And it was used in this investigation, so why can't we see it? I've been trying for a long time to get these reports.
Why can't we? Like, it's, oh my God. When journalists get frustrated by not seeing their information, I'm frustrated because I wanted to be hearing about it. And I knew that they can get it, and it's like, why can't we hear this? And oh my God. So yes, freaking give it to them. If they're pushing for it, give it to them. Him and, oh my God, Greg Palast, those, they're the best investigative journalists you can listen to. And when they're looking for something, if it's there, they're going to get it. And it's frustrating when you have to wait for it, because they have to wait for it, and they have to push through all this crap.
Response recently, and this is what I got. I know for a fact there's 3 reports. The FBI, in response to me, they only acknowledged one of those reports, not even the other 2. And in terms of their production of material, they redacted the entire CrowdStrike report. So they didn't give me a single page of the CrowdStrike report. And all they gave me was an FBI cover sheet from December 2016 documenting that they have this report and are using it for their investigation. Everything else is redacted. And that's on top of the 2 other reports they didn't even acknowledge to me exist when I know that they do. So I don't know if John Durham is investigating the CrowdStrike aspect of this, but if he doesn't, it's a travesty because it's at the heart of this whole scam. It's what kicked off Russiagate. And given that everything else about Russiagate was a scam, there's no reason to doubt that this was too. And I hope that Durham's investigation will shine light on it because it's so paramount. That allegation that Russia hacked those emails has caused so much damage, again, not just to the U.S., but to geopolitics. And the public deserves the truth about it.
Yeah, public deserves truth. We deserve journalists who will ask questions, hold people accountable, do pushback. Like, so many times you watch these interviews with powerful people and it's like, why don't you push back? And that's why powerful people don't go to Aaron Mate, and that's why powerful people don't go to Jimmy Dore. Well, I've seen a few times where Jimmy Dore pushes back a bit, but not as much as, and then you know, there's so many other aspects of getting those kind of people on, and again, these guys don't get them on anymore because they have pushed back against people, and then you lose access. But you have to at least hold them accountable once, and hopefully some bigger names will start holding people accountable, not worrying about losing access, because you need the Congress people to be worried about losing your access, not losing the Congress, not losing the access to Democrats and Republicans.
So when you make a Freedom of Information request and they send you back something that's 100% redacted, I mean, do you have to sue then later? I mean, how do you get that information?
What do you do?
I'm appealing, and then if I have to, then I will file a suit. Yeah, because again, this is like, I'm not asking for NSA material or CIA material. This is a private company hired by the Clinton campaign. There's no reason why it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Politicians usually write the questions when they go to interviews, especially for medium to low level journalists that they allow access to. And then if you're a big journalist, you negotiate on terms, or you have things that are out of that you're not allowed to ask. They don't write the questions. But if you're a low level journalist, you literally get questions that are written by the congressman, by the senator, whatever.
Classified, unless the FBI, relied on it in such a extensive way that it can't release it to the public. But if that's the case, it's even more damning because that means that they relied on the Clinton campaign's work product for such a consequential allegation as the Russian hack of the DNC.
Of course they did. That is what that means, and that's why they don't want to.
Yeah.
All right, Aaron Mate, everybody, thank you so much for your expertise in explaining all this stuff to us. Everybody check.
So that was great. All right. 2 hours and plus in, guys, and I got one more big thing I wanted to do, and then if there's still people hanging out, maybe more, but I think this is going to be enough. I have never watched anything but a clip. I have seen small fragments. I have seen basically Jimmy or Jackson Hinkle do clips of this person. Jackson does a lot. Jimmy does Jimmy does a little bit because he's still anti-TYT. But so this is Asan Piker. I do know of him from my TYT days. I used to watch TYT in like 2013, 2012 area, 2014. By 2015, I was only watching it if Jimmy was on or Michael Woods Jr. There was a few people that had reasonable Malcolm Fleshner. Just a few of the people that would be on Aggressive Progressive or whatever. Who I can't right now. But yeah, so I've never seen this person. His whole show seems ridiculously long, I'm guessing, but he does do 30, 50-minute segments that he cuts out, and I'm gonna give it a try. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot. So here we go. My first attempt at Hassan Piker. I have heard that I will get eventually cut from the stream from YouTube if I do this too long. If I do get cut from the stream, I am on Twitch, guys, for the same channel name. I can play that the whole time there, I guess. But I'm going to give him a shot for all 37 minutes of this. It's probably going to do like 2 or 3 commercial breaks, So it's probably gonna kick me off at one of those commercial breaks on YouTube, guys. But let's give it a shot, huh? I'm gonna hit my pen. Actually, I'm gonna grab a joint while we get this going.
Look at me, XQC, Miskiff, and Charlie. Charlie is tackling it head on and also capitulating or caving to some of the unreasonable takes to make himself seem more reasonable to that audience. I, on the other hand, I tackle it head on. I yell about it. I never cave. I never give in. And that probably makes me seem like a dickhead or a douchebag to the people that are not super aware of the issue, or the people that are looking at it and going, yeah, it is kind of fucked up. This person's making some good points. Why is this guy yelling? I guess he just doesn't know how to deal with criticism. And then there's the XQC way of dealing with it. XQC deals with it by literally refusing to engage with it at all. And then Misgive deals with it by being like, this guy's a clout shark, and then moving on. And being like, sarcasm, clout shark, moving on. Bro, I know this guy's fucking going crazy. I know. Dark Viper AU suggests that streamers who make react content such as Moist, Critical, Pokemon, XQC, and Asan the Hun would sexually assault their fans if given the chance.
Am I watching this on speed? Nope, that's how fast he talks. All right, that is fantastic. I have not missed a lot, huh? All right, I've never watched this guy. I got another CBD joint, but with some oils on the top. It's gonna nice and slowly go through there. That's that same kind of wax. It's called a soft wax. It's nice and golden, and it just runs through that CBD nug.
And doubles down on it. If you meet a reactor at a party, I suggest covering your glass or outright tell them you don't want them to fuck you because they seem keen to take a person's silence for consent. People who live their lives exploiting others, their labor or careers in their own lust for money and power, who are the very sort of people who would sexually.
I have noticed that when other people show his clips, he does a lot of reading tweets. So does Jackson Hinkle, which that's the one thing I don't like about. I mean, so does Jimmy sometimes too. And it's just I don't want to read people's tweets. Read articles is fine, you know. Read clips is fine, but reading tweets constantly, like reading a tweet because they shared an article and they have an opinion on it is fine. But just reading tweet debates and stuff, if that's all his show is, I'm gonna put my head through the wall. I can't do 37 minutes of that.
Abuse someone. A reactor's career is specifically about ignoring consent and only respecting people when profits are at risk. Bro, let me just say something, okay? Out of all of those people that he's like fucking crying about, this person is the only one who has out and about like destroyed, try to fucking DMCA a fan of his for beating him to the Grand Theft Auto speed run that he was doing. The only reason why I know who this fucking weirdo is because LSF ass blasted him for shitting on his own fan that beat him in the Grand Theft Auto 5 speed run. So for him to turn around and like take this kind of position is, I guess, not surprising. He's just like a big DMCA Andy. Like he literally DMCA'd his fan. One thing I need to do better though, and it's fucking annoying, is that because of the sea of like endless criticism that I've gotten from people, a lot of it being bad faith, that I have no way of like, I seek out the shit nonstop, right? But I've basically gotten to a point where like I have no way of responding in a way that makes me look a little bit better. Like it looks fine to you because you know where I'm coming from. It looks fine to you because you understand what I mean. You watch me 8 hours a day. It looks fine to you. But if someone has never fucking actually watched me and the only thing that they've seen is like an 8-hour compilation, or if the only thing that they've seen are fucking enough clips of me standing up, leaving, and they're also not content creators themselves, so they have no way of understanding what content creators are interested in or what content creators like or what motivates them, and the only thing that they hear is like one content creator that they actually like that has decided that reaction is bad for everyone else, then of course like I have no good way of communicating that to people, effectively communicating that to people, and it sucks. So I got to get better at that. That's definitely something I used to be a lot better at. I don't want people to think that like I'm fucking running away from criticism. I never do. If anything, people get mad at me for maybe doing too much diving headfirst into criticism. The one guy on Twitter you saw was in good faith, but he's still wrong. Yeah, the thing is like this meme itself, it's wild that this combo even, it's wild that this is even a combo when most people love watching it, and the overwhelming majority of content creators, including myself, love when people react to whatever we make, right? This is true. The myth of mutually beneficial react content. I consent is the reactors. I consent is 99.9% of content creators. And I don't says random YouTuber who no one is reacting to. Isn't there somebody you forgot to ask? Now, this was about the Dark Viper AU guy who said that reaction content is similar to date rape. Like literally said, I would fear being around someone who react to people's content because they're not asking for consent, and I would cover my drinks around them. Like he went into fucking town. Like it was really fucking gross, and not only gross because like it's a ridiculous way to fucking talk about anything really, but also gross because it kind of minimizes sexual assault. Anyway, I mean it's probably clout chasing, but if we are to be charitable, or if we try to be charitable, even though I think that like from what I understand, I've never watched any Dark Viper content, but it seems like he makes decent videos. Like a lot of people are fans of his. It seems like he's like a leftist in Australia or something, but like not really a leftist, but like a liberal in Australia, whatever, center left. And he's good at making videos when he's making videos about himself, but like he goes fucking off the rails whenever he like has like a pet peeve issue that he just hyper focuses on. It's an analogy. I know, man. I know what is an analogy, but the analogy doesn't work if you make these comparisons to rape all the fucking time, okay? It's not a consent analogy if the impact is not as damaging as like literally date rape, okay? That's the problem that people have with. I know that it's very hard for logic lords to who fucking LARP as like the most rational person on the planet who can't have a normal conversation without like liking it to rape all the time. The problem with rape is not just the fucking lack of consent in that circumstance. Lack of consent in and of itself could be analogous to a million different things. But lack of consent when you make it to rape, you're basically stating that no,
I mean, yeah, we're not gonna be learning anything. I don't think it's just this person has a lot of followers on Twitch, and they have a lot of followers in general. So I thought I would listen to them for a whole segment and give them, like he's saying right now, you can't watch people in just segments, right? So that's the one thing I learned. I didn't know. I didn't learn anything. I already knew you shouldn't just watch people in segments, only segments. And I usually give people a whole episode chance, and this is my a whole episode chance for him. I'm not watching a whole 3-hour episode. That's not for shit happening. But I'll give him a whole. He breaks shit down to 13, 10-minute segments all the time, and we're gonna give him a whole 37-minute segment, and that's it. And then I'm probably never going to watch him again. But that's what's gonna happen. All right.
The damage.
I'm saying it like I'm asking for consent too. No, it's just he has a lot of people that follow him, and I want to see why. And then that way I know how to talk to young people who follow him, and I can be like, hey, this guy uses talking points from this content,
is as
TYT
insane
basically.
As the damages as like.
This is Cenk Uger's nephew, by the way, if you don't know. TYT, Cenk Uger's nephew. That Instagram famous for being a pretty boy with tons of gear and other extra stuff on him. And he took that Instagram fame along with his uncle's network and turned it into a talk show / Twitter stream now.
Problematic and as fucking damaging and destructive as rape. I made this meme, and the problem with a meme like this is that
now file
it gets an advertisement right before you try to talk about it. I mean, that's not the actual problem with it, but we don't need to give him any freaking ad time. That's for damn sure. When you watch ads, you give the people the money. If you skip the ad, you're not giving them money. So only watch ads on people that you want to get paid. Don't watch ads on me because I'm not getting paid right now. Yeah, he does talk a lot about weird like sexual things, and he does seem to talk about tweets a lot and memes, and yeah. I don't know. This is like he's in his 30s, I think, but maybe this is the way 20-year-olds talk, and that's why he's very popular with 16 to 22, 25-year-olds or so. So it's awkward. I know, man. It's awkward. I know my audience is 35 to 45, it seems to be, but any younger people that do, I mean, my subscribers seem to be that. But for those of you hopping on there younger, those of you hopping on there older, that we're gonna take a look at different things. I follow Tom, he's 72. I follow Jackson Hinkle, he's 22, and I'm giving Hassan a watch. I'm not ever going to watch him again. We're not going to like him. This is not going to be fun. We can start getting mad soon. We'll probably start getting mad soon, I think.
Does not see the valid side of the criticisms, right? The valid sides of the criticism are this. If I watch a content creator, okay, it doesn't matter if it's helpful to them.
If those of you who don't remember, I did Tim Pool too. I watched a whole segment on him, and while watching Tim Pool for a whole segment, I was like, I started getting mad. I'm like, is the only thing he doing is reading Daily Mail? Like he's just reading Daily Mail and then yelling at the left. And a Tim Pool fan obviously saw that I was talking about him and came on and got a little bit mad at me. And it was interesting. You know, we had I had a conversation at least. It was fun. But I just all he was doing is fuck the left, and then Daily Mail, reading the Daily Mail, fuck the left. We're only a few minutes in, guys. If all he does is read tweets, this is going to get very interesting.
Not. If they don't want me to watch them, then they're right. And you guys that have been here for a long enough time know this already, right? You know that that's my perspective. And there have been instances where people have said less than like overtly positive things, and I immediately stop watching. I say, I'm sorry, and I never watch again. Including the person who like originally started this conversation. There was like a year ago during one of my cooking segments, it auto-played a video of someone's that I did not know. And that person did not like it. They've apparently also done a React Harder meme to Charlie as well, Moist Critical. And I admitted that I was wrong in that situation immediately. I was like, because that's true. If someone doesn't want you to fucking watch them, it was valid to be like, hey, that's fucked up. Please don't do that again. But milking that for an entire fucking year and continuously making videos about it is crazy. The thing is, like, I will not watch their video. And every time I talk about it, like, people go and seek it out and they watch the video. The entire point is, like, to get people to watch the video a year after the fact. It's just not worth it. It's not. I feel like it's bad faith. I'm sorry. Especially considering that, like, they're right. And I have apologized. Like, I agree. Like, if someone doesn't want you to watch your shit, you don't watch their shit. That's it. Do I personally think
he and Vosh both got hit on Twitch for a little bit for some subject they hit. I don't know what. I don't pay attention to either of them at all. And they do seem to talk about sex a lot, so maybe it was something about on that lines. Maybe they're both sexual harassment pandas. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know anything about them except for all I know about him is that he's Jenks Uger's nephew, and that he started out with a bit of money and privilege, and with that money and privilege, he got a lot of gear and got Instagram famous, and that's what I know.
it's beneficial for them? No, but it doesn't matter. It's not me. It's their video. That's the other reason. The person that we're talking about also made an 8-hour podcast with like kill stream Nazis, where they like basically just restreamed my stream, which I don't have an issue with, but you know, when you do that, it's like it's impossible for me to see it as like good faith criticism. So there's that too. There was like literally fucking kill stream Nazis on there. So if you're doing that sort of stuff, like, then I don't think you're doing it in good faith. I think it's kind of sad. I think it's kind of pathetic. And I'm sure they'll keep making more videos over and over again. Ultimately, what I am going to do is like, yeah, I get up when a fucking video is playing from time to time. The reason why I don't pause it when I get up is because I care about the content above all else. I care about you guys being entertained above all else. And I know that if I pause the video, you guys are going to be fucking annoyed. You're going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? So I would rather play it on my phone while I get up. You know what I mean? While I get up and answer the door, get the deliveries. The 10-minute period where I'm off camera sporadically when I am cooking. Of course I'm going to do that.
Wait, so he goes off camera for like 10 minutes at a time? I can just let this shit play for something else and walk away? I'm gonna go play a video and walk my dog and come back and be like, how was that video, guys? And just be like, hope everybody sat around and watched? That's, oh man, guys, no, I'm not gonna do that ever. I'm not gonna follow this guy's lead at all. But it's a grade on what not to do. And if people want me to play videos and disappear and do that kind of shit, then I guess just play them on your own. I don't know. I try to play only clips, and if I'm playing something like this where I'm reacting to for the first time and playing the whole thing, I'm going to talk to you during it because my face isn't pretty enough to just react to, and I don't have tits.
And the real reason why I don't care about it for the most part is because 90%, like I said, but that's what the YouTuber want, disrespectful. Wait, what do you mean? They don't even want to say don't react. They say that leaving videos only and leaving disrespectful to the creator, and they just want people to be more transformative. Okay, but that's the react harder argument. And most of the creators that are quite literally in here, like Nick is not green, for example, is a great example of this. Like, these are people from this community as well. They don't mind it. Like 90% of creators don't mind it. And I do react hard, okay? I react so fucking hard that there are entire memes about how much I pause. We totally forgot about this for some weird reason, because one content creator with a relatively sizable audience that has partnered up with a bunch of other content creators who just fucking despise me. There's this notion on the internet that like I don't fucking react hard or something. There's
What? What is he even talking about? I react so hard, man. I'm a hard reactor, man. What are you talking about? I don't react hard. I pause and hard react. I'm a react hard reactor. Was that me? I am so sorry. I don't even understand what the fuck he's talking about. I react hard, man. Look at all the shit he has in the background. It's fucking ridiculous. It's like you're a cartoon character. No, I'm not ever gonna do that. Seriously. I am never gonna just play a Trump video and walk my dog. That sounds like a way for my video to get beat up by small children. I would consider just letting, like, if I could find a way to have multi screens of live protests, I would do that for 20 minutes while I walk my dog during like a daytime stream in the weekend or something. I think that would be the only way I could leave and walk away happy, is having like three or four live streams of different riots, different protests, that kind of thing on a Saturday or Sunday where you get that kind of action going. And if I was doing a stream and I had something, if I had a hard react day stream going and I was like, I'm going to take a 30-minute break to have lunch and walk my dog, that's the only physical way I could possibly do that. Otherwise, how do you walk away from your stream several times? But he's talking about streaming for like 6-8 hours. So I guess, yeah, you have to take breaks, but also, who's so 8 hours sitting in here talking? Ugh.
There's a reason why people call me Pause and Obby. It's so weird that people are now saying like,
why'd you just say that?
You say you're gonna eat something and leave him alone with your chair for 30 minutes. That's why I'm like so confused by this. This is a wild take, and it speaks to the power of compilations. I have 8 hours of stream you can watch. People are basically asking me to change the way I do the stream, but they've never watched the stream. If you were a stream watcher and that was something that was like frustrating you, that's a little bit different. You know what I mean? But you don't.
He literally streams 8 to 10 hours a day.
In a way that makes me look a little bit better. Like, it looks fine to you because you know where I'm coming from. It looks fine to you because you understand what I mean. You watch me 8 hours a day. It looks fine to you. But if someone has never fucking actually, percent of creators don't mind it, and I do react hard, okay? I react so fucking hard that there are entire memes about how much I pause. We totally forgot about this for some weird reason, because one content creator with a relatively sizable audience that has partnered up with a bunch of other content creators who just fucking
this shit was so
me.
funny.
There's this notion on the internet that like I don't fucking react hard or something. There's a reason why people call me Pause and Obby. It's so weird that people are now saying like, when he joins, you just say you're going to eat something and leave him alone with your chair for 30 minutes. That's why I'm like so confused by this. This is a wild take, and it speaks to the power of compilations. I
have to watch this again sober tomorrow. For those of you who weren't earlier, I had a cookie to start my stream. I think it's kicking in solid because that was fucking hilarious. And I could watch that over and over again. I react hard. I'm a hard reactor. I react hard. You say I don't react hard? There's a reason they call me the positive. Oh my goodness. Oh. All right, let's keep going.
8 hours of stream you can watch. People
8 to 10 hours a day. Again, I just don't understand that.
Asking me to change the way I do the stream, but they've never watched the stream. If you were a stream watcher and that was something that was like frustrating you, that's a little bit different. You know what I mean? But you don't watch the stream. You've never watched the stream. You've only seen compilations of it, and you have a false notion that I do this thing where I just like fucking play a video and move on. Play a video and move on. It's not for them. But like you guys know this already. Like, I pause so fucking much. Remember this shit? I paused so fucking much that when he Casually Explained made a YouTube video calling out Twitch streamers, he literally mentioned me. Here, I mean, listen.
Regardless of whether someone is a pro gamer or you just have a crush on them, at the end of the day, streaming is all about entertainment, and you can watch and support whoever you want. But at least be honest with yourself about it. I've seen people be like, Yeah, she does like yoga at the beach, and I've donated because she obviously can't afford a proper outfit. And I've been trying to learn yoga myself. You know, yeah, okay, buddy. And I'm a tier 3 sub to Hassan for his political views. And we're back. Thank you.
I'm sorry, what? Son of a bitch? So that's the first part about it. That's the first part about it. And then look at that. Perfect relationship with a streamer and chatter.
Thanks for unpausing the video, Hassan. Now, one thing Twitch is certainly known for.
Classic.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Classic. Like, that's a classic. You know what I mean? That's how much I pause shit and yell for like an hour and a half. That's the reason why people call me Pausanabi. People.
So he just pause. Like, so this guy just oh my god. So all he does is pause and then screams and runs around and screams. He has no actual insight, no intellectual commentary. He has no Discord. He has no pushback. He has no facts. He has no debunking. He just screams. Okay?
People get mad at me. That was such a good one. That was an incredible bait. I don't know how the fuck it turned into.
No, man. His background is too fucking much. Like, his background is ridiculously too much. Pick like 5 of those things. It's entirely too much.
Dude, you're not reacting hard enough to the videos. You can say that about anyone, by the way, for the record. You can say that about anyone. And there are instances where, like, if your argument is don't watch my videos on stream, okay? I don't want you reacting to my videos. Valid. I will never.
Oh, and I guess, yeah, you don't understand who he is either. He's a millionaire right now. He makes, I guess they're saying right now he makes somewhere in the $200,000 a month for streaming right now. He just bought he bought a couple $1 million house like within the last year, and also a couple $100,000 car a couple of weeks ago, and like showed it all off. And yeah, he makes plenty of money.
Never do that again. If your argument is watch my videos but watch them harder and like react to them harder, then that's fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? If your argument is watch my video for, you literally did not unpause for 17 minutes.
Love you, BB.
Father, it's Sunday afternoon. You have to visit.
In modern society. Yeah, I play, like, it's the meme, the meta in this fucking community. The meme in this community is like, I'll play a fucking 1 minute snippet of a 4-minute clip and I will go to town for 60 fucking minutes on it. That's the whole point. Stun locks, like the one that's occurring right now, is exactly what I do. That's what I do best. That's literally what I do best. And sometimes there's not going to be a fucking stun lock, okay? Sometimes I play a video and I don't stun lock on it. Yeah, I mean, here, look at this. 24-minute Jubilee video. Triggers Hasanabi for 2 hours. Liberal teens versus conservative parrots. Really? You think I just sit there? Is that what's going on? You think I just like play 1 hour and 45 minutes of the chair giving good takes? It's very frustrating that people are now like making it seem like I just fucking sit around and don't do anything. And I know immediately when someone makes that fucking meme that they just don't watch. What I feel is there are moments where I'm not all there. I'm live for 8 to 10 hours a day. There are moments when I go up and pee. The reason why I don't pause it is because if I did that, everyone would be super fucking pissed. And I care about making sure that you guys are entertained. Like, that's what I care about more. More than anything else. And the reason why I don't think people give a shit about that overall, like I don't think content creators themselves get like super fucking mad about that overall, is because they like it when we're watching their videos. 99.9% of content creators love it. I'm a content creator. I love it when people fucking react to my videos. I don't care if they're like not reacting hard enough or whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter. No, bro, it's what you do worse. Stream will be 2,000 times better if you set a timer and only talk about something for like 10 minutes. I mean, you talked about this saying is the exact same thing for 3 hours yesterday, and here we are still stuck on the stupid shit. I know, but there's always new people in here, and I want to address it for all the people that are actually in here coming in with good faith to basically understand where I'm coming from. And also, you guys are in here, so you obviously know where I'm coming from. But if you look at the quote tweets on the meme that I posted this morning, it's literally everyone being like, dude, that's all you do is you're a leech. You're just an entirely bad person.
I'm defeated.
I'm not a leech. And as he's complaining about what they posted on his meme from this morning.
The Jay's content, you took a shit while playing his video on stream. Honestly, it'd be different if he only did this with Master's Chief and TV Shit Show, but full Channel 5 videos with barely any reaction sucks. I really don't think many of those viewers would go rewatch the video again, but who knows? Like, this person is fucking complaining about reactions to Channel 5. Andrew loves it. Andrew fucking loves that shit. Like, you're literally complaining about someone who loves the shit. So anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The reason why I have to address this shit, though, is because first of all, the funny part of it is there are people who like don't understand content creation or why it's actually good to fucking react to videos. So they think like they operate off of like the one YouTuber that they like that said this guy sucks. So they're thinking all YouTubers feel this way when that's not the case. I've been a content creator for 10 years, man. I know. Like, can people at some point be like, okay, maybe you know what you're talking about? You watch people's YouTube videos, and that's a positive way to engage with someone.
You were under your uncle's channel for like the first handful of years, and he helped you create to be a creator. Like, I don't. Ugh. Seriously,
Content.
dude.
That's a positive way to make an interaction with this community and their community. And then the other way to do that is basically by fucking doing these like call out posts and all this other shit. It's the same energy. It's by trying to attack the content creator. You're like trying to fucking tackle a piece of their audience, maybe drive a wedge between his community and try to like grab as many fucking people as you can. That stuff does not work. That stuff just does not work in the long term. You're not going to get enough, like, you're not going to be able to farm enough hate engagements that will allow you to have a sustainable business model, for sure. You know what I mean? I know this. I know. I promise. I think I demonstrably have at least some level of knowledge on content creation. I've been doing it for a very long time.
Because your uncle fucking put you into it, man. Like, you were a pretty boy. Like, look at this fucking picture. You were a pretty boy that your uncle put on TV or on his already large platform. You were an Instagram model because you had money and you had a bunch of money for all these extra shit. And you're just a pretty boy rich kid. That's all you were.
XQC doesn't respond, and it's the smart thing to do. Speaking like a true capitalist. Yeah, exactly. You can say it's a true capitalist or whatever, but I'm not going to be baited into watching someone's fucking video a year after the point when I've already agreed with the original point that they made. Like, what do you want? What do you want me to do? The answer is, ironically, I want you to react to my video. So, like, I'm not going to do that. If the main point of contention is, don't react to my fucking videos, I did not consent to this, and then you try to get me to react to your further fucking videos, I'm not going to do that. Why the fuck would I ever do that? Why would I literally give in to what you want?
No, I mean, yes, I agree. I can't. he has said that 3 times now, and this is probably 30 seconds, a minute behind. He says it. He just says shit over and over again. It's fucking funny. I don't know. He does repeat himself. If his argument is that he doesn't repeat himself, he's not proving his argument exactly thoroughly, huh? On Twitch, why Hassan? Because I've never watched him before. This is my very first time watching a long clip. I've seen clippets of him in the past, but I've never watched him. And I try to watch somebody new every week. And today he's the one. He was attacked recently on some other segments that he has done. So I wanted to watch a neutral segment I want to see a neutral segment that I haven't seen people attack him on yet. But I did not realize it was just going to be a complete response gate thing, and there wasn't going to be actually anything to it. No, but I've not seen any of his. Anything that I've seen from him would have been like Jackson Hinkle, or Jimmy Dore, or like Glenn Greenwald or somebody like that, like clipping him and just, kind of going against him. So that's all I've ever seen of him. All I've ever seen of him.
When I already acknowledge that you're in the right to fucking watch, in the right to say, I don't want you to fucking watch my shit, and that's fine. Isn't it funny how Charlie mentioned his Dark Viper video,
But no, after tonight, I will not be picking up any other segments from him. I mean, I have people I trust on most issues. I think watching one new person a week is a good idea, and then I'm probably not going to stick with anything else. Sorry, I'm giving him a shot, right? We're about halfway through giving him my first shot.
The same person told him the same thing, react harder or don't watch. Charlie did the same thing as you, and never watch their vids again, but you're the only one catching flack? Yes, because I respond, because I'm a fucking idiot. This is why it gets very frustrating after a while, because like I at least am trying. I'm making an effort to be as charitable as possible. I'm making an effort to like respond to it. You know what I mean? And then people say, Hassan, you don't take criticism well. But there is a degree of criticism that I can charitably understand and respect and respond to, which is what I'm doing when I say, you're right, but what else do you want? And then there is the, I don't really give a shit. I just want you to watch my favorite content creator's video. And especially because like it's a non-issue that turns into an issue. What? You're misrepresenting this argument? Can you watch this clip?
In this reality, XQC doesn't use other people's labor.
I'm so sick and fucking tired of this, dude. I hate this. This guy is literally, look at his videos, man. Look at his fucking videos, bro. Look at this channel, okay? Look at this fucking channel. He's got videos with 70K views, 94K views, 64K views. Boom, 9 hours ago, 228,000 views. What are you? Are you riding or dying for him? Why? Like, are you his biggest fan and you want him to fucking look at this thumbnail? Holy shit. The real reason why he's doing this is because he wants people to react to his fucking videos. And it's very frustrating. You're a fucking idiot if you don't realize that, okay?
Yeah, maybe there is a better clip to to check him out on. Oh, yeah, no, I thought it was a $200,000 car. And like 2.5, 3. I thought it was $3 to $4 million house. So this guy is, he is and his view, like, I don't know if he's a socialist or whatever whatever side he claims to be. His views are just so. Whenever I see him clipped, he's like his clips are always just so center. It's always just so mainstream media, and it's like, how do you have? How are you still doing this? Like, who is hitting this now? And okay. Are you actually keeping track of how many times he says shit? That's great.
There's been good faith criticism and bad faith criticism. You literally are trying to desperately give into what he wants to do, which is react to my fucking videos, please. That's what he's doing. But you don't know that because you're not a fucking content creator. I am. So I know what he's doing. There's two ways of doing it. Make good content, okay, and you're like, hey, please watch my video. This is sick. And then I do, and it's awesome. And that's not a parasitic relationship. That's a positive relationship. And then the other way to do it is by doing call-out posts and having idiots like you operate on his behalf. You're literally you're helping him. He's not doing it because he legitimately thinks it's fucking unacceptable. He's doing it because...
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's just fucking... It is kind of brutal, isn't it? He's just reacting to reactions and then reacting to it. And making sure that he reacts to the reactions because he wants people to know that he reacts because he reacts hard. Oh, man. There's a whole thing on, like, being able to use more than... how rap lyrics or rock lyrics or country lyrics, there are certain, it's not about what kind of music, it's what kind of vocab you use. And Tupac and certain people just have these massive vocabs. They use so many words. And then there's like basic stuff. And his vocab seems pretty basic. Like his vocab seems very mild, very lighter side of things. He is brutal. I don't think I can do the whole video. Maybe I'm gonna put that on the list. I'll give a second half chance to his 9/11 clip later. Thank you, Twitch, for giving me something else to look at, and I will put that on there and check that out. Since you're up, yeah, he is painful to watch. I wanted to do at least another 20 minutes. I didn't have another one clipped ready, but I had plenty ready to go. My reaction to Reactgate. Man, that was just too long. That was so long. Oh, it felt like the longest thing of my life. I don't know why I just did that for so long. Yeah, and then I'm not going to do somebody else I hate either, so that's just not going to happen. But I've been waiting to do this for a while. So, it's short, sweet, and it's a good way to end the show.
Superstar Kat Valdez's
And it's going to be Tom Hartman. This was from a few weeks ago, but when I saw the clip, I put it on here. I haven't had any good good segues to get into it, but sometimes it's just cleaning the palette from Hassan is good enough palette. Switch over.
Broke, interestingly, I'm pretty sure it was on MSNBC like last week, that there was this police department down in Alabama where the police chief, Mike Jones, and a bunch of the officers were basically making big bucks on traffic stops that were completely bogus. They would stop people for running a red light or running a stop sign when they actually stopped for the stop sign. They were just like making things up, and had acquired hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines for the city. I mean, some huge portion of the city's budget, or of at least the police departments, and they were using this money to pay themselves well and buy new toys and all kinds of stuff, was from this. Well, that scandal broke, and that Alabama Police Department chief, Mike Jones, Brookside, Alabama, resigned yesterday or the day before, earlier this week. But with his resignation, now the citizens of Brookside are starting to say, okay, he's been taken down. We're not terrified anymore. So we're going to tell you what actually happened when this guy was police chief. And this should be a cautionary tale for all of America, frankly. He was literally threatening people with arrest for posting on Facebook that they thought that the ticket was inappropriate, that they actually stopped for the stop sign and they got a ticket anyway. This one woman, Michelle Jones, she said, quote, "He threatened me with an arrest if I did not take down my Facebook pictures and posts to their police officers or stop sending emails to local politicians show them, the Brookside police, that I understand law enforcement practices." It's amazing. She was ticketed in May of 2019 for running a stop sign, which she insists she didn't do. After she paid the $160 fine, she began complaining to public officials, a local TV station, and posting on Facebook. And then, quote, this is what she told the Attorney General's office. Detective Johnson had called. Now, this is not the Chief Jones. This is a guy who's apparently still with the police department. Detective Johnson had called and asked that I come to the Brookside Police Department to talk with them. After I told him I would not, he reported that they have 2 warrants for my arrest. He stated that I had issued threats, I had incited a riot, and I had slandered the Brookside Police Department in my Facebook posts. He reported that his police chief was mad.
Seriously? Did you slander the police chief in his Facebook post? You can't knock on somebody's door for that. That's insanity. How is that not a nationwide, every minute of every second story? Oh, no.
Right. Others have reported similar experiences, including Alabama Senate candidate Lisa Ward, who posted on Facebook about getting a ticket and saying this is wrong. And, then she gets harassed by the department. Another one, a Brookside man, told AL.com that he was pulled over a couple of days after complaining on Facebook about his own ticket. Now, he stops at a stop sign. He gets a ticket for not stopping, even though he did stop. He complains on Facebook about it, and they stop him again. And the cop comes up to his car the second time that he stopped and says, and I quote, "The police chief's pretty upset about that post you put on Facebook."
What? How is this a thing? No. You can't actually, no. What?
Any more backlash like that toward our police department, and it'll be worse, far worse than a ticket. And the guy who did the post said, I just stared at him. I was looking at him like, so this is what this stop is about? You
pulled him over for a Facebook post? How is that legal? How is that anything?
Stopped me to threaten me? Yep. Conservatives for years and years have made this point that
Yeah, they do.
government is the only institution in America that legally has the power to kill you.
Yeah, and they do it excessively in our country. That's insane. Our government control is nuts. Land of the free, guys.
Legally has the power to imprison you. I can't do it. You can't do it. A company can't do it. Only government can do it. And therefore, and I've said conservatives have made this argument. Hell, this was an argument that was made at the Constitutional Convention. Therefore, government has to be constrained. That's why we have the Bill of Rights. That's why we have the Constitution that limits the powers of government. As Barack Obama said back in 2008 when he was running for president, it's a negative Bill of Rights for the government. Now, Republicans went nuts because they didn't have any frigging clue what he was talking about. But it limits the power of government. This is why. And obviously something broke down here in Alabama. And I'm willing to bet that...
I've seen so many of these small town stories. This is why I clicked on it, I think, the last couple... This was like 2 weeks ago now, guys, but I clicked on it because I've seen so many of these small town corrupt stories that it's more than just a handful of towns now. And maybe we need an audit. Maybe we need a nationwide audit. Maybe we need... I don't know. I've brought 2 weeks ago on my YouTube channel, I did a Michael Woods Jr. Interview about policing. Maybe I need to find somebody else to find some older clips or something, because this is still happening.
Alabama is not the only place in the country where this sort of thing is going on.
Yeah.
And I guess this is kind of the upside of social media now, because people can complain about it, but on the one hand, but on the other hand, I mean, most of these complaints go back to 2018, 2019. This is 2022. So this police department has been terrorizing their own community and sucking them dry in the process for, what, half a decade or longer? This is, you know, yesterday I was talking about we need, or maybe it was the day before, we need to have a conversation in the United States about crime. We also need, it was yesterday, we also need to have a conversation about policing in this country. And that's what I was encouraging Democrats to do, is say,
policing and poverty and education, but policing and poverty and education, yeah. I think those three things tie in all together. If we had a real conversation about trying to fix the country, those three things can't be ignored. Policing and the jail systems, feeling like we need to fill jail systems for corporate greed, that whole thing all ties into one big issue, right? Education, well, you know, the disparity of education, the lack of good teachers because we're not paying teachers, the lack of care from our governments to actually keep education as a priority instead of privatizing. It all ties together, guys. And then policing, is the other. You know, there's aspects of everything, but we can do better. And I'm leaving it at that tonight. Sorry, it's been 3 hours, and I'll call it good. But tomorrow is Weed Wednesday, so I will have a few more states, a few more ballot initiatives, a few states trying to get medical, another state trying to get it to legal. So we want to get Stony Progressive. We want states to get that ballot initiatives. I'll, of course, have a CIA or a Republican, Democrat, somebody to take down one of our politicians. I want to get rid of all incumbents. That is definitely one of the things we need to do. We need to get rid of incumbents. And I'll be talking about protests. I'll be talking about rallies and strikes, of course. But tomorrow is Weed Wednesday, so that will be the focus and the priority. And I look forward to it. Thank you for joining me tonight. And we'll burn through, smoke through, drink through, whatever you got to do to get through the news. We'll